Good morning. Good morning, or perhaps good afternoon. Good night. Good day. Good. Good. I wish good for all of you. Hi. Congratulations to Kyrie for getting first. Thank you. Thank you for waiting so patiently. It looks like maybe it paid off. Your gambling went pretty good. Kind of swag. Balls. Okay, well, that's 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 lovely. Thank you. What insightful information you have there. Make Foss look like a slime girl? I don't really know how you would accomplish that, to be honest with you. Wow! Oh my goodness, good morning, Kira! Whoa. Wait, did you just wake up? That's so funny. That's so funny. Like on the weekend I stream later and it's still good morning for Hero Hom. It's so awesome. Hi Darren. Wow, you're looking pretty fancy with that little 12-month subscriber badge. Sheesh. Would be very sad not getting that redeem. Yeah, that would be kind of sad. Like you were waiting for half an hour and then someone else snagged it. I do think that has happened before. Good afternoon, milady. Tips fedora. Do you actually own a fedora? Raise your hand if you own a fedora. I won't judge you. I can't promise that the rest of the chat won't judge you, but me personally, I will not judge you. I have to say I do not own a fedora. I don't own that many hats. I have a Kirby shaped beanie, and I have a beanie with cat ears on it, and I have a Pikachu and a Cinnamoroll like baseball caps, respectively. I think that's the only headwear I really have. Oh, I have a floppy like black sun hat that I got from a garage sale. I don't really like because it's a little too floppy. I feel like when you're wearing a sun hat, you know, it's cute if it's a little floppy, but if it's flopping in front of your eyes, then like, what's the point? What's the point? Hi, Tommy. Hello, everyone. Fedora, I hardly know her. Okay, that one doesn't even that one doesn't even work that well. What the hell? I have a fedora collection. Oh, so you have like multiple. Yo, are they all different colors? I think I'm used to only seeing like gray or black one. Darren got auto-modded. I'll allow it. I'll allow it this time. Yes, it does. Shut up. Okay. Fedora like Linux? Like Linux? Linux? The operating system? I don't really know what you're talking about. Anyway, you guys want to see my hands? I'm feeling a little nervous because I usually have gloves on. Um or at least some sort of decorations on my hands, but I'm making slime, so they're kind of exposed. Sigh. Hand reveal. Oh my goodness, hand reveal. Are you ready? Are you ready? I hope I cropped this good. Oh yeah, that looks cropped pretty good. Oh my god, I have hands. I do have a ring on. I might have to take it off. These are my hands. These are fox girl hands uncovered. Damn. I painted my nails for you. Not my best work, but I had a good time doing it. I like laid outside. I laid outside on my balcony and I painted my nails and I listened to K-pop and it was kind of an awesome morning, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, wow, rate my setup. We got borax faux today. We got Barbasol, shaving cream. We got we got contact solution. Yeah, some pretty awesome slime stuff faux today. Faux today. Yippee! Ah, thank you for the 40 streak. That's so many. Thank you, thank you. My immersion? Oh my god, sorry. I'll put them away. I'll put them away. Here, you can look at Kirby instead. You like him? Kirby reveal. Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool. Do you like my towel? I tried to pick my least favorite towel. It's kind of cute, but the texture, I don't know how to describe it. I hate drying my hands with this towel. So if it gets slimed, then it's like chill. It's chill. It's whatever. I'm kind of nervous. I feel like this is not gonna work. I don't know. I feel like my slime's gonna explode or something. Ew. Put the camera off to prove that it's really you. Oh, I don't want to do that. Can I do something else? Can I make a peace sign? Can I make heart hands? I'm not. I'm not gonna flip you off though. That's kind of rude. My favorite Dr. Seuss books, the borax. I low-key don't even know what borax is. I saw this was on like the ingredient list for one of the slimes, and I guess it's a laundry booster. So I guess it's not laundry detergent. I don't really know what it is. But you know, there's 20 mules on here, so that's gotta count for something. Jen, thank you for the 60 stream streak. Wow, shout out to all my streakers out there. You didn't invite me, huh? What do you mean? To the slime making? Does this make it better? Hi, Icy, Pika, and Squeak. Okay. Maybe having Squeak on is dangerous. I'm gonna get slime all over Monsley. Pika Pee. Let me get him. Okay. 6-7 with your hands. Do the blood sign. Um, I used to do that kind of semi-often before I knew it was like bad. Nobody ever told me that was somebody taught me that in middle school, and I thought it was like just a cool thing you could do with your hands. I did not know that was like a really bad thing. So I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, here's Monsley. Can you hear him, or do I have to move my mic? Okay, hold on. I don't think you can hear him. Let me give him the mic. How is that? Is that pretty awesome or what? Laundry booster, I hardly know her. Mods! Time out, Argonaut. Do I have a mod here? I don't think I even have a mod here. I guess you're safe this time. Hello, Handfox, huh? I didn't know how to wave like upwards. Hi. Hello. I run free. Straight to jail. Straight to jail. Okay, so I got some different slime recipes for today. I found 4 different ones. Well, one of them I didn't find. One of them somebody posted in my Discord server. Shout out to my Discord server. You should be in there if you're not. But I have. Oh, I did not get laundry detergent. I'll have to go get that soon. There's like basic slime that I don't know, just like a regular slime. There's fluffy slime. There's edible slime, which has like pudding. I don't think it's like edible. I think it's just like your kid can safely put it in their mouth without dying. I don't think you're actually supposed to eat it, but you know, we got that. And then if I have enough glue, I'm not sure if I have enough glue, but then there's also laundry detergent slime. That one's iffy. That one's iffy. I didn't want to get like a giant gallon of glue from the store because that was low-key $13, but these were like $2 each. So I got all this glue. And we'll see if it's enough. Oh, and also oobleck. I got cornstarch for oobleck. So I guess we have 5 options. 4, maybe 5 options if we have enough glue. But I guess I could do half recipes as well. And surely, like, that's fine, you know. I'm really excited for oobleck. It's supposed to be interesting. Wait, I don't even have... I'm a bad streamer. I don't even have the oobleck recipe pulled up. And I pushed my keyboard all the way back there, so I can't even... I can't even type. Hold on. Oh my god, arm reveal. Okay. How to make oobleck. Sorry, I'm learning. What is oobleck? Oh, ingredients. Cornstarch, water, food oh, I don't have my food coloring. It's in the pantry. It's okay. I'll get it later. Eat all of them. Okay, well, I don't think I'm gonna be doing that. Thank you. Oobleck is edible? Yeah, it's just cornstarch and water. And optional food coloring. I don't think I'm gonna eat that either, though. That glue looking mighty tasty. Oh, do you want some? Do you want some? It's not glitter glue, unfortunately. The glitter glue was a little expensive, but I did get glitter separately. You know, we're thrifty with it. Who needs to purchase glitter glue when you could just purchase glitter and glue and mix it all together? Pretty cool, huh? Is this a mukbang? I guess it could be. Cornstarch. The only time I've ever eaten cornstarch. Wait, what is this? I low-key don't know how to open this. I should have prepped all my ingredients, but I figured you guys can just watch me do that and it'll be fine. It's really candid, you know. We're really showing all the steps here. But the only time I ever put cornstarch in my mouth was when I was breathing fire with Darren. So shout out Darren. Oh my god, don't look at my mouth. She's kinda ugly. Um, okay. I guess we should get right into it, huh? Maybe start with regular style slime, and if we do good there, then we can work our way up to other stuffs. Maybe perhaps. Don't drop the glitter. Not gonna be a good time if you do. I feel like it would be a good time. I feel like it'd be I feel like it'd be kind of awesome if there's just glitter everywhere. Wow. Are you supposed to just like stab through? I didn't know. Sounds cool, but it was low-key embarrassing and trauma bonding. I think it was all of those things. I think it was low-key embarrassing, and it was also trauma bonding, but it was also cool. And no, I'm a big fan of fire tricks. I think they're kind of cool. Okay, I also have different bowl options. I got this leaf bowl. Ooh. And I got this ceramic oh, don't look at that. This ceramic I don't know what you'd call it. There's like a bird on here and a chipmunk that looks kind of otterish and some gnomes and a little house. Wow. Mhm. I I have like big metal bowls, but I was kind of worried. I don't know. I don't know what kind of chemicals you can put in metal and it still be safe. Yeah, so I just have these regular ceramic bowls. So hopefully this doesn't like destroy or stain these. I guess if they do, it's not a big deal. It'd be one thing if it was my heart-shaped bowls, but you know, we're chill. Okay. Let me read these instructions to you. What you'll need. Measuring spoons, measuring cup, mixing bowl. Materials. 1 cup warm water. Oh, I didn't get the water yet because I figured it would cool by the time I got to it. So I'll have to go get that. 1 teaspoon borax, glitter, 1 cup of glue, wooden ice pop stick, and food coloring. I didn't get like popsicle sticks, but I have these left over from the Hear Me Out cakes, so surely I can stir with these. It's slime, it's okay. I don't know. I remember my sister used to be really into slime, and she'd store them in our plastic Tupperware containers, and it absolutely destroyed them. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna use the things that I'm okay with getting messed up. Volcano Science Project Stream win? That would be so messy. I think that'd get everywhere. Are you talking about like the elephant toothpaste? I don't even know what you need for that. I've seen that before though. Potato battery stream win. What? Do you just want me to do like educational science streams? Some chemistry streams? I'll do a titration. I'll do a titration live for you, and then you can be really impressed when I do it on the first try. Okay, 1 cup of warm water. I'll have to go get that. 1 teaspoon of borax. Okay, here's my borax. It's looking pretty good. Not just baking soda and vinegar? Is it just baking soda and vinegar? I mean, it might be. I don't know. I've never done it before. I need an opening. Got scissors. My laundry is gonna be so fresh these next few weeks. I'm gonna put borax in it. Just see what happens. Do you like this technique? Maybe I should have got a knife. Hold on. Let me get a knife. Don't worry, I keep a knife next to me at all times. Well, unless I just lied. Wait, check this out. I got a hole punch. You like that noise? I kind of like it. Hold on. Hold on, I'm fumbling the bag. Wait, do you guys want to see my Mihawk card? Wow! Season 2 of the live action One Piece is out. I'm really excited to see it. Look at his abdomen. What do you think his routine is? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Oh my god, here's my knife. You would not do titrations? I'm pretty good at titrations. I had to do so many. But the only issue is I'm a little bit clumsy. Oh, trigger warning knife. If you are sensitive to knives, maybe close your eyes for like 30 seconds. Anyways, check out my knife. Okay, hold on. Oh yeah, this is a lot better. Oops. I bonked you, sorry. Hello, Foxfur, how's it going? Hello, hello. Alright, the knife is put away, don't worry. Don't even worry. Plant grafting stream. Is that? Ooh. Here you go. Is plant grafting when you, like, cut off a piece of the roots and then grow a new plant from it? I think that sounds interesting, but it'd have to be like a time-lapse camera or something. Wait, what did I need? 1 teaspoon of borax. Okay. Oh, wait, it says pour the glue in first. I don't know. I'm gonna get all my ingredients prepared, but maybe I should read this first. So step 1 is pour glue. Step 2 is measure warm water. Step 3 is add borax to warm water. And then add sparkle or color. Okay, hold on. Can I be right back? I gotta go get warm water. I gotta go get warm water and maybe food coloring. You can look at this borax. You can read this. And Yoshi will keep you company. I'll be right back. I'm not so cooked. Don't say that. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure. 1 cup warm water. Okay. I'm gonna put in this. I'll be back. Please behave yourselves. A face you was shocked. Oh, is my model pogging out? Anyways, I hope Yoshi kept you good company. I got some warm water. You can tell it's warm because there's like condensation on the side. Pretty cool, huh? It is very scientific. I looked at the meniscus and everything. And then here are our color options. What's gone tell dad jokes? No. No. Straight to jail. Okay. Let's use the leaf bowl for this first one. This bowl is my favorite of the ones I have. Pink slime, please. Well, the glue is white, so surely if I put just a tiny amount of red, we can make pink. I think that would be fun. Alright, let's see what we got here. Did you guys read the ingredients list? Oh, this isn't even ingredients. It is caution. Did you guys read the caution labels? So that if anything goes wrong, you'll know what to do. Galaxy color! What color is the galaxy? Like black? I think even if I put all of this in there, it wouldn't turn black. I think it'd still just be brown. Maybe the next one we can mix colors. Okay, pour glue into mixing bowl. Pour about a cup of clear or white glue into a mixing bowl. Okay. Oh wait, I was gonna use this for the glue. Wait, I didn't even get another measuring cup. Okay, hold on. We're like a little bit cooked and scuffed, but it's okay. Hold on. Hold on. Thinking. Can I put this? Okay, well, maybe just put the water in a separate bowl. Okay, here's the swivel. And then the warm water can go here. Oh, yeah. It's a little bit chipped. Don't look at that. Okay, water bowl. Check. Wow, this phone camera is so wiggly. Okay, that's fine. And then 1 cup of clear or white glue. Okay. You're always cooked and scuffed. What the hell? Nuh-uh. I was thinking of a dad joke. Well, do you have a dad joke, or were you just thinking of it? My cat knocked... Why? I'm gonna tear up my skin. My cat knocked everything over in the other room, so I didn't read the caution. Oh. Shout out to Hades. It's my cat's birthday today. It's Scylla's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday, Scylla. She's not allowed in here because I didn't want her to mess with chemicals. Alright, we're pouring glue into a cup. I've never poured glue before. It runs better than I thought it would. I thought it'd like clog up a bit more. Black and purple with glitter, I guess? Oh, I bet we could make purple. I have all the primary colors, plus green. Maybe for the fluffy slime, we can make it purple. Put glitter in it. Guess what I had? Honeycombs for breakfast and they were delicious. Yo, I love honeycombs. Wait, hold on. Let me get honeycombs on the screen. Hold on, that's kind of important. Honeycomb. Copy. And we go here. And then we paste. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. I love honeycombs. I'm so glad you got some. Man, for the amount of people who, like, have got honeycombs, presumably from me, I feel like they should be giving me some for free. I need a brand deal. Come out, come out. Happy birthday, Scylla. Yeah! She's 2. She's 2 years old today. I haven't had her for 2 years because I got her when she was like a few weeks old. But she's been alive for 2 years. Okay. I think this is as good as it gets for this one. Well, there's still like a little bit. Get. Okay, that's fine. One glue gone. Goodbye, glue. Go over here. It's so. I guess I can't really show you, but it's like so close to being 1 cup. It says about a cup. It's like 1 millimeter under the 1 cup line. I don't know how accurate it has to be. I don't know how picky glue is. You'll just like... that'll take forever. Sorry, I did not... I did not think of the best like methods for this. PC have like 15 millions of colors, while humans can only see 2 millions? Whoa. Whoa! Waffle, thank you so much for the sub! 8 months, wowee! Wowee! So many. It's so many months. Thank you. I can't get this open. You think it's chill to use my teeth? Yummy yogurt. Oh, you want some? It does kind of move like yogurt. Put some chia seeds in there. Okay, there we go. I'm so strong. Yeah, I go to the gym. Oh, since I wiggle it all around, I cannot even see what their line is at. I'm just gonna put a little and hope that's good. Okay, surely that's good. You guys vibing with the anime intros? This might be an outro, I don't know. This playlist is called like, what is this called? Anime intros that go hard. I thought that was kind of a vibe. Okay, the water's so warm, we're chilling. Okay, pour about a cup of clear wet glue into a mixing bowl. Alright, here we go. In you go. It's our beautiful yogurt mixture. Is there enough light? I low-key don't have any lights on. It's just sunlight. You have to tell me if it's too dark. Plus ignores me, I hate everything. Oh, I don't know what you said. You said happy birthday, Sola. Oh, did you know there are colors not visible to the human eyes? The colors too vibrant for our eyes to see. They're called imaginary colors. I guess you could say pigments of your imagination. Is that your dad joke? Sigh. I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring anyone on purpose. I'm just locked in. If you make cereals, mixing honeycombs with Fruit Loops tastes good. I do make cereals sometime. I don't know if I've ever had Fruit Loops with honeycombs. That sounds kind of nice. I should have got a rubber scraper for this. Should I get one? It's probably fine. Okay, beautiful. And I use it over here. Did I tell you I was way smarter back in the days when I was younger than I am now? I think that makes sense if you were like in school and now you're out of school. I think that just happens. Don't worry. Okay, we measure. I got the warm water. So we got a 1-to-1 ratio going on so far. And I have to mix 1 teaspoon of borax in this warm water. Okay. We're making a cross-linker solution, whatever that means. Also, it says the borax is sodium tetraborate aqueous, in case you were curious. Where did I put my measuring spoons? Hello? Oh, here they are. You ignore me all the time. It's not personal. It's not personal, I swear. It's just the chat box is not that big. I'm here on the freshly cleaned setup. Life is good. Oh my goodness. Your setup did look very nice. I'm very happy for you. Okay. Go down a little bit. Time for the dad joke of the day. I think we've got it covered. I don't think we really need any more, to be honest. Oh, this is not a straight line. It's not as precise as it could be, but it's okay. Right, borax in the warm water. Yeah, the balanced chemical equation. Well, it's in teaspoons instead of moles. So if you can tell me how many moles are in a teaspoon, I can tell ya. Maybe. I have not balanced chemical equations in a long time. Wow, that just dissolved. Like, all the way. I thought I'd have to do some mixing, but that was pretty instantaneous. Would you call a person who has too much to eat on March 14th? I don't... March 14th. What's special about March 14th? Is today St. Patrick's Day? Or is that later in the week? Let me see if this ring light helps at all. Did that make any difference? I cannot tell. Whatever. It's kind of aesthetic. Convert it, wise guy. Okay, well, you're right. My bad. My bad. Gee, whose hands are these? Sheesh. Hi, Aphex. Hello, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. Good morning. Maybe. Is it morning for you? I don't know. A python? Oh, it's Pi Day. Interesting. I don't think I get it that much. It's a good say to get more milk because I used it all. Making my cereal when it was worth it. Sheesh. Also, Waffle, thank you so much. Thank you for subbing 6 months in advance. That's so sweet of you. You're like, I'm gonna be here for a long time. Aw, that makes me so happy. Thank you, thank you. BC? A ABC. Is this part of the equation? Okay, add sparkle or color to the glue. Alright, I'm gonna try my best to make it pink. I'm gonna try my best to make this glue pink. This is a very important holiday today. It's Chiaki Nanami's birthday. Chiaki Nanami. Chiaki from Danganronpa? I do not remember their last name. Wow, happy birthday. Happy birthday to them. It's also Scylla's birthday. Sheesh. It's Pi Day? Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking about that. Happy Pi Day, everyone. Did anybody eat pie today? I did not. Okay, wait. Something's happening. This is the babiest pink I've ever seen. But maybe if we keep staring at it, it's chill. Oh, thank you guys for the hype train. All you little subbers going crazy. Yeah. Oh, happy birthday, Chiaki. Somebody post some really cute Chiaki art to celebrate. Gamble all. Oh, this is so sad. It's so sad. I should have got a popsicle stick. These are so thin. Mm. Is this a nice shade of pink? I'm worried if I put too much, it'll turn red. But I feel like it. This is. It could be better. It could be a little more vibrant. It's like the softest, babiest pink ever. House always wins? Is that real? Maybe that's true. I feel like whenever I do Gimbal All, it goes alright. Alright, should I put sparkles in this? I don't know why I asked. I'm putting sparkles in this. What color? Do you think pink sparkles for the pink slime?
Ahem. Yuck.
Yuck! Oh, I liked Buck better. Yuck makes me think you are not vibing with my slime. Sigh. Pink? Okay, I got you. Let me see if I can open this in a way that is not gonna make it explode everywhere. I I guess you just push it in. um Yikes. It's solid. Wait, hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm kind of worried. What if it goes everywhere? Okay. Surely that's a tasteful amount of glitters. I had to save my point for next stream's dad joke of the day. Like you're gonna TTS the dad joke? Some dedication. Yo, what is busting my ears right now? Does anybody know what anime this is from? I wish it said. I think some of the songs it says what anime it's from, but not most of them. I'm sure it tastes fine. Oh, the glue. This is just glue right now. Do you like the taste of glue? Mm. Mm. It's quite sticky. I'm a little worried that the glitters aren't shiny. Like they're kind of just getting covered up by the glue, What if I put an egregious amount? Gotta hit all the possibilities that can seem contextually appropriate. I mean, I guess slime is a little bit yuck. I mean, I totally could have wore gloves. I thought this would be a lot messier. Womp, 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 womp. Hi, Carrot. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. I wonder why. Hey. Sigh. Not everyone's as smart as you, Darren. We can't all know that glue is gonna be sticky. Okay, is this good? This kind of looks weird. This does kind of look like yogurt with chia seeds, if the chia seeds were pink. Okay. It says for sparkle, add in as much or as little glitter as you like. Yeah, I feel like this is pretty good. An egregious amount? Do you think it could be more? What if I use this whole thing? I don't know what else I'm gonna be using glitter for. What if I just go crazy? Surely there's not an upper limit if it says as much as you'd like. Forbidden yogurt. Yummers. Yummers. Sorry, I got thirsty. You guys want to see my Gamer Subs cup? Shout out to Porcelain Maid. I love that guy. Okay, I'm putting more glitter in. Oh, is this looking egregious? Sheesh. I'm worried that it's gonna get saturated. Like there's gonna be too much glitter. No, it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. Don't worry. I don't even think that's all of it. This is looking swag. Mm. It does kind of make you want to put it in your mouth, huh? It does kind of have a tasty looking quality. Well, at least it looks more pink now. Adjusting the process so hard right now. Me too. Listen, if there was an upper limit, they'd say like don't add more than 3 tablespoons, but they didn't say that. So I'm thinking the more the merrier. Ooh. Last waste of slime. Last waste of pile of glitter in the corner. No, see, look, the glue took it, and it like it's not. It's like it's good. It's good. It's chilling. It looks scrumptious. Glitter glue. Glitter glue. All right. Mix together your glitter glue and food coloring. Wow, that's a step? I thought that was. Oh. Well, I'm glad that was the next step because I did not wait to do that. Add borax solution to the glue while mixing. Bring your cup of water and borax solution closer to your mixing bowl and measure out 1 tablespoon. What? Okay. Where are my spoons at? I'll put this away. Flirty! Yo, Karen, thank you! Thank you for the 40 streak! You're so awesome. Alright, measure up 1 tablespoon. I lucky don't have a tablespoon. I lost my tablespoon, so I only have half of one. So surely I can just do it twice, right? Give it a taste test. It's gonna be crunchy. Guys, I'm not eating glitter. Macroplastics. Pour the tablespoon of water and borax solution into your mixing bowl of glue and stir fast. You'll see a chemical reaction because 2 things were mixed together to create something new. What? You will see a fast chemical reaction because 2 things were mixed together to create something new. Isn't that just saying the same thing? Like you'll see a chemical reaction because you're doing a chemical reaction. All right. I hope it's fine that I don't have a tablespoon. I don't know what the reaction looks like. I hope it doesn't freaking explode. This is so scuffed, yo! Okay, well, do you think it'll be a big deal? I have this as well that has tablespoon measurements. So maybe that will be safer. Okay, there we go. We got 1 tablespoon. I guess it's good to give it its best shot, huh? Okay. Stir fast. Okay, I'm stirring. I'm stirring. I'm stirring. Oh my god. Yo! I'm seeing the chemical reaction. It looks like a slug. Oh wow. Oh, huh. Okay. I should have got a popsicle stick. It's so lumpy. Fast chemical reaction to create something new moment. Oh my god, we created something new, I think. Oh. Wow. It's so sluggish. I broke my headphones earlier. You're so choppy. Oh. Erm. Erm. Well, surely I still sound cool even if I'm choppy, right? Okay. It doesn't say how long to stir for. I'm gonna scroll to the next step. Knead the slime. Scoop out the slime from the bowl. Roll up your sleeves and dive in with 2 hands. Kneading is necessary so your slime is like sticky. The kneading action makes sure the borax solution is fully integrated into the glue. Why did I need a cup of warm water if I was only going to use 1 tablespoon of it? That feels like a waste of water. Let's scoop out the slime from the bowl. And put it where? On the towel? It's gonna get gross. Do you think I can leave it in the bowl or do you think I should follow the instructions? I feel like if I put it on this towel, it'll just stick to it. Okay, hold on. I'm removing my snake ring. My hands are so naked right now. Oh, whoa, I'm seeing the chemical reaction. I am. I'm gonna put my hands in this, and then I'm gonna need to like touch my mouse, and it's just gonna goop. Okay. So I said so good if I chop right? Is that what I sound like? That's kind of cool. Girl, you made this setup? Well, I didn't really think about having to be using a mouse. Read ahead. Yeah, let me read ahead. Okay, oh, this is the last step. Scoop out the slime from the bowl, roll up your sleeves, and dive in with 2 hands. Kneading is necessary so your slime is less sticky. The kneading action makes sure the borax solution is fully integrated into the glue. Keep kneading until the slime is at a consistency that your kids find fun to play with. Yo, I don't have kids. This is for me. What the hell? Rude. Okay. Surely it can just be in the bowl. Wow, this is kind of. This is kind of gross. Um, can I knead with 1 hand? I feel like it's too liquidy. This isn't really slime. I don't really. I feel like it needs something else, but I don't know what I would change. Like, you know how if you're making like a roux or a slurry, it's like, oh, you can just add more flour if it's too liquidy. I don't know what the flour in this situation is. Like, can I put borax in this to make it? Why is it so liquidy? Do you think it's the amount of glitter? It said 2? Coward! Ugh. Well, okay. So my hands are like this, and then what? And then what? Obviously, I have to go to wash them. I did bring a roll of paper towels. I don't know. I feel like I see slime videos on Instagram Reels, and I'm like, wow, this is like such good ASMR and it's so satisfying. But then when I go to do it, why do I look disgusting? I feel like a little slime monster. My bad, slime. Oh my god, hi Yuki. Hi Jucifer. Jucifer. Juice? I thought you were Juice Stein. Did you move on from Frankenstein to Lucifer? Is this your final form? You made something new, but it was the wrong thing. Maybe more glitter will help. Check this out. Is there still stuff in there? I can't tell because it's up the sides. Can your sister on the phone stat? She made slime with contact solution. I do have a recipe for that, but I think oh my god, this feels crazy. Loud ass bottle? Oh, sorry. You didn't like that? That didn't really help. That's it too, actually. The IRL upgrade from Frankenstein to Lucifer. Let's go! I do think Lucifer is an upgrade. I mean, Frankenstein is kind of awesome, but I don't know. Lucifer is kind of the top dog. At least it will taste good. I should have got edible glitter, huh? Wow, I feel gross doing this. Has anybody made slime before? Why is this so liquidy? Slime is sliming? No, it is not. The slime is not sliming. I feel like I'm just putting my hands in a bowl of glue. Try more borax? Okay, hold on. More borax. Yeah, that will surely help. Well, that's what made it thick in the first place, right? So surely another half. Borax, go. Are you thickening? I can't tell. Uh, mm, I can't tell if that helped. I don't think that helped. You don't like shoving your hands in glue? Not particularly. I don't really like my hands feeling messy. Like, if you guys have ever made bread, kneading the dough, I really don't like it that much. You're so cooked. Glue grabber! Hey! Wait, maybe that helped a little bit. Yummy. Anyway, I'm selling this slime. How much is slime? Like $1? I'm selling this slime for $3 if anyone wants it. Here you go. Okay, maybe more borax will help. It said you're supposed to add it while stirring, but like I don't have a stirring hand. I don't have time to stick around, but have a great stream. Thank you for showing up. It's always good to see you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Throw it in the stovetop to thicken it? What would that do? Wow, this is gross. 350 degrees Fahrenheit in the oven for 10 minutes. Let it rise. But okay, what if it rises and then it gets on the bottom of my oven? How in the world do you clean glue out of your oven? Like burnt glue too. Pull up a YouTube video. I think it's already cooked. Can I knead it with my hands and that counts as stirring while I add more borax? Guys, we are not off to a great start. Surely the fluffy slime is better. Well done, Boo Funkin' Womp. It's not even my oven. I'm in an apartment and I'm renting. So I just like destroy their oven. Oh, and they got slime on this. This is so sad. This is so sad. It's sad and ugly and gross. Slime Fox X, hi. Hi. Wait, I think the borax is like genuinely helping. Okay, hold on. Let me just like... If it's already cooked, surely... Surely, like, it can't get any worse, right? Oh my god. Wait, maybe this is worth $4 now. Wow, it's so sticky. Ooh, Go, borax. Oh, that was a fun noise. Did that pick up on the mic? Okay, it is getting quite viscous. Okay, something. Something's happening. Okay, it's not sticking to the sides of the bowl anymore. Oh wow, okay. Okay, cooking, cooking, cooking. Let me cook. Let me cook. I think I overdid the borax. Shoot. I forgot what I promised you. Boo freaking womp, bro. Oh my goodness. I don't mind. Don't even worry. Why is there no real honeycomb on screen? That would be because I don't have real honeycombs. Honeycombs are expensive these days. You gotta wait for them to go on sale, and they just have not gone on sale. Alright, I'm gonna two-hand it because it's feeling a bit better. Okay, wait. Something's happening. It's not sticking to my hands as bad. It's not just a bunch of glue. Maybe? Maybe? Ah! Ah! Yo, wait. This is kind of awesome. Look, my hand is clean. Well, this one's clean. This one's still got some glitter. Hold on. Part a tablespoon. Oh, there is a little thing that says, if your new polymer, in parentheses slime, is too sticky, add a teaspoon of your solution and keep mixing. That's crazy. How did anybody do it with only 1 teaspoon? Like, not even a tablespoon. Oh, it was originally 1 tablespoon, and then they're saying add teaspoon. I don't know. I had to add so many. X cinnamon slime X. I did it! Get this bull out of here. Oh my god. Ah! Oh, this is not the type of material for slime. But my desk is wood. Do you think it would mess up my desk, or do you think it would be fine? I don't know. Look at how glittery it is. I think since there's maybe a little too much borax in it, it's it doesn't have that like classic slime pull. Like I think it's gonna snap instead of stringing. Well, maybe not. Oh, it's so elastic. Yeah. Maybe slime's supposed to be like that. I don't know. The slime videos I watch, they usually like scoop it. Or like they'll put wax on top of it and like crack it. Well, I have wax. I could wear wax on top of it. I don't think it'd be that pretty though. Mistakes were made. Wow. Wow. Mistakes were made a little bit, but like that's okay. Just don't look at that here. Replacement go. This is kind of nice. I think I got it up to be $5 probably. So if anybody wants some glittery pink slime, $5. $5. Wowie. Okay. I guess oh, wait. Can we bubbles in it? How do you do that? Can you hear it? I feel like the sound of slime is really satisfying. Running the PayPal. Sheesh. I don't have a jar to put it in. But surely for $5 I could get it to you. Okay, let me see if you can hear it. Ah, you can't hear it. Hold on. Can I turn my sound gate all the way off? and then you can hear me breathing and you can hear my window. How do I turn sound gate off? Is limiter the same as turn off? Is this doing anything? Oh, okay, hold on. I don't think that did anything. Hold on, I'll find it. I find it somewhere. High pass filter? Oh wait, maybe that's it. Off? What is HVAC? Is that just AC? Okay, can you hear it now? No. I really can't find it. If anyone knows how to turn off noise gates, hit me up. I'll give you my address, trustworthy streamer. So I'm streamer. Trustworthy streamer. Thank you. I am quite trustworthy, I would say. I think you can trust me with your address. Just turn off? I'm trying, I don't know how. On the thing for my mic, there's I can change the gain, the compressor, the limiter, the reverb, and the high pass filter. Real-time denoiser? Maybe that? Off button? Well, there's not just like an off button. What about this? Some in an envelope. Mmm, yummy. Yeah, I got nothing. Click the eye. The eye? The eye for what? Nah, I see an address now. Love their house. It's kind of real. Kind of real, ain't you? Anyway, this is the first time. I would rate this recipe, I guess 7 out of 10. I did have to add a lot of borax to make it work, but after I did that, I think it's pretty fine. I think this is pretty good slime. You know, it's got a nice cooling feel to it. Um, it doesn't stick to your hands at all. Like I got all the glitter off. The glitter does not fall out of it. At least not that much. Add more borax. I'll just like put it. Yeah, I'll just dip it in there. Okay. Slime number 1. All done. All done. It does stick to like this material, but I don't think there's any slime that doesn't stick to that material. So I don't think I can fault it for that. I think that's just like how slime is. Okay. You guys ready for slime number 2? Let's see. Let's see what we're up to. Why did you choose this towel then? Well, I wasn't really thinking about it. Oh, glitter stuck to my nail. I'm so sad. Look at the difference. I like broke the tip of this nail. This one is stubby, but at least there's pink glitters on it now. But yeah, I wasn't thinking about putting the slime down on the material on the thing. I was just thinking about protecting my desk. But it's fine. It's fine. Alright. Slime number 2. Fluffy slime. This one's only 3 ingredients. How much was the other one? Lucky the other one was also 3 ingredients. I mean, I put glitter in it. And food coloring. But water, borax, and glue. So I don't know why this one's advertised differently. Alright. Half a cup of Elmer's Glue All Glue. 1.5 cups of shaving cream. And 2.5 tablespoons of contact saline solution with boric acid. I was a little nervous. Because I didn't see the boric acid thing until like until I was prepping for the stream, but I checked and this does have boric acid in it, so we are good. I can't hear but hands. Look, you need to make hand cam bigger. Make it bigger. Oh, like you don't like the overlay? You want it like this? You want it like this? More hands, more hands. Okay, just so you. And we'll make the Spotify a little smaller. Well, I can just overlap. That's fine. Yubi Matsutsu, I love you so much. My Mick salsa. Okay, where's my glue? All right, half a cup. Oh, wow, this is like stuck together. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. It's fine. Surely, if I unfold it, nobody will even know the difference. Okay, I don't need borax for this one, so I'm gonna put this off to the side. Okay, okay, and we'll start measuring some glue. Carolee, hey! I love you too. What the? This is some slander and a half. Have you tried loving her? That's so real. That's so real. It's always Fuss doesn't love me this, Fuss doesn't love me that. But it's you come in here and you say everything is scuffed, and then you call me stupid, and then you spit on me. It's so hard to see the meniscus. I think I need a little bit more. I didn't do all that. Oh, well, that's what it felt like. He's like, you can't do titrations. And I interpreted that as you hate me. Okay, half a cup of glue. 1.5 cups of shaving cream is gonna be kind of difficult, I think. Like, I assume it's supposed to be like fluffy shaving cream. Like you shake it up and not like the liquid. I do so many nice things for you, like like BK Blanca. I love Black Rover. Oh, what anime is this from? I have not heard this one before. Is Foss gonna eat the slime? Yes! What the? Oh, I was gonna show Mick the slime that I made, but it like it kinda melted. Oh. Oh, wait. Okay, I thought it was like cooked. It's not cooked. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna take a bite of this one, but you can. You can. Say ah. Say ah. For you. Probably not with the shaving cream. Real pretty color. Wait, Mick can't even hear me, can she? Well, that was for Mick. Wait, look at it like melt. It's kind of fun. Black Clover opening 3. You know, back for season 4. Or sorry, for season 2. I don't know why I read 4. Had 4 on the brain. He has another part in OP10. Yo, wait, that's cool. You guys Black Clover enjoyers? I have not seen it. I don't even know what it's about, but it's one that I've heard of a lot. 2.5. Okay, here's this. 2.5 tablespoons of contact saline solution. All right. Oh, she's kind of not pulling very fast, huh? Gotta go have a lovely stream. Goodbye. Have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you for stopping by. I love you. Look, it's like bubbly. Oh, it's probably bubbly because there's borax in it. That'll probably affect it, huh? Maybe I should rinse this out. I don't want it to be messed up. Okay. Okay, I'll be right back. You watch Kirby. You watch Kirby and Yoshi. And I'm gonna go rinse this so that the borax is not doing sussy things. Please behave yourselves. Okay. The borax has been rinsed. Oh, excuse me, little guys. What's the only solution and why are we contacting them? I don't know, but surely it'll help with the slime. Surely it's necessary. Necessary? Necessary. Okay, let me try. Oh, there's some glitter on it. Wow, wonderful. Rob, please behave yourselves, monkey emoji. Wow, thanks for that. You guys have a good Funky Monkey Friday? I went to a friend's house and we had a conspiracy theory night. And we all presented different conspiracy theories. And the one I presented was the K-pop girl group Red Velvet. And they always release new albums and new songs after there's a controversy or a scandal in SM entertainment. And it's pretty big brain. But somebody else presented that Finland is not real. It, like the landmass of Finland is not real. It's just like a part of the ocean, and it's like I don't know, something about like Russia and Japan have like a fishing agreement there, and people who say they're from Finland are actually just from Sweden or like a bordering country. That was interesting. And then someone else presented that the Powerball, like the lottery system, is just a trap for time travelers. So like the government can catch time travelers. What else did people do? Hmm. Someone did that the sun is flat. Like it's not that the earth is flat, but the sun is flat. Um someone else did and this one didn't even sound like a conspiracy. This one just kind of sounded real. That dysentery is what won the Civil War. Like it wasn't really that the Union won from like being good at fighting. It was just that like germ theory didn't exist yet and so many people died from dysentery. That one was interesting. Yeah. And then I think there's one more. I'm trying to think of what my last trend did. I'm drawing a blank. What did he do? Oh, he did JFK's head just did that. Like he wasn't assassinated, his head just did that. And it was actually like kind of well put together. It was like spontaneous human combustion and like phosphorus. Phosphorus in being used in fertilizer, like spontaneously combusted. I don't know. I don't know. It was something. There's like foam at the top of this, and I don't know if I should be measuring from the top of the foam or the bottom of the foam. I want to go back to sleep. I've been sitting here staring at my screen, just sad over my headphones. I can't even understand what you're saying anymore. That's so sad, Carrot. Well, I hope if you do go back to sleep, you have a good night. I'm gonna assume the foam is not part of it. And add a little more. I love that one. That's awesome. They were all quite interesting. I low-key think mine was the least strong, but it's okay. I think it would have made more sense if people like listened to K-pop, but in that group of people, there are not a lot of K-pop stands. But that's okay. You heard Venus is flat? Like none of the other planets, just Venus? That's wild. No, it was so well put together. Cause like I've heard the meme of like, oh, JFK's head just did that, but he like actually created an argument with phosphorus, and like he like smoked a lot of Cuban cigars or something. Okay, I think this is good enough. And I need 1.5 cups of shaving cream. Shoot. Oh wait, would you measure? Would you measure shaving cream as a liquid measuring cup or a dry measuring cup? Hmm. Is this is this solid or liquid? I squirt you with this. That was awesome. Sorry. Um, I don't know if that was worth it. There's kind of shaving cream everywhere. Ugh! You don't have paws? No. I'm not a fox. I'm just a fox girl. I only have ears and a tail. Are we slamming right now? Oh my god, we are so slamming right now. We are so slamming right now. She does have. She does. She just also has human hands. Just like she also has human ears. I do not have human ears. The sides of my head are flat. My skull looks crazy. Surely the shaving cream is for bald spots. Yo! Can you even, if I had a razor, you can't do that on your head, right? Like the hair is too long and get tangled up. She has human ears? No! I don't have human ears! I don't have human ears. I think that would look really silly. Shave the tail? Ugh, man, that is so messed up. You want me to look like a little rat, huh? They're flat? Yeah, they are flat. They are quite flat. Okay, we need 1.5 cups of shaving cream. I guess this is solid. Surely it doesn't really matter. I'm kind of scared. Buzz cutters first. Bzz. I'll help. You stay far away, buddy. Oh, this is weird. Okay. Oh, making noises. Oh, that's kind of fun. This looks kind of tasty. Okay, 1, and then we need a hat. X cinnamon rat X? Man, I don't want to be a rat. I don't want to be a rat. The sides of her head. Yeah, it's because I mog so hard. Wouldn't expect you to know anything about that. This kind of looks like marshmallows. Should it be level? These are like not level. But there's probably some air in it too. Well, I don't know how precise it has to be. But anyway, here's our ingredients. Don't look at that. This is from last one. Don't look at any of that. All right. You need a medium-sized bowl. Okay, I got a medium. Ah! I got a medium-sized bowl. What's wrong with rats? Nothing's wrong with rats. I just personally don't want to be one. That's just not my style. What do you have against rats? Guys, I don't have anything against rats. I just don't want to be a rat. I want to be a fox. Forbidden marshmallow. Open up. Here. It's not level, so you can eat this much of it, okay? You can make it level for me. You're a rat. Okay. Mods! Mods, blow up, Darren. Alright. Medium-sized bowl. A stirring tool. Okay. I have a stirring tool. Check this out. Sheesh! A measuring cup, tablespoon. Food coloring. Okay. This one I'm gonna try to make purple. So we need red and blue. Red and blue makes purple. Yeah. Bet you didn't expect my stream to be educational, huh? Alright. Measure out all the Elmer's glue and put it into the bowl. Alright. We're pouring this into the bowl. Not even my house. No, just you. Just blow you up. Hi, Rebel. How's it going? I hope you're having a good weekend so far. Sorry, this is like a top-down POV, and I feel like you can't see it that well. But the glue is going in there. I should have got a spatula. Wow! 6, 7! Thank you so much! I love bits. How did you know? I'm following along? Oh my god, they're following along? Sheesh. Oh man, this is not working that well. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for that bonk. Wish I could see purple. You can't see purple? Are you purple yellow colorblind? I know there's different types of colorblind. There's like red green, which is the most common one. And then I think there's yellow purple, which is a lot less common. I've never met anyone with that. I guess I've never met anyone that was colorblind. Oh, maybe my friend Gala is colorblind. I don't remember. Kaya jailed? No, we love 6-7 in this house. Don't be a hater. Squeak. Okay. You you want do you want Monsley to have glue all over him? Sigh. Can Monsley say 6-7? Yeah, I got you. I'm very, very colorblind. Full red, green, and some blue yellow. Oh, it's blue yellow, not purple yellow. I see. Dang. Dang. So is everything just shades of gray? Huh. Okay. Here's Monsley. Here's Monsley. He's gonna say 6-7. Wait, hold on. He needs the mic. Yippee! Also love the backgrounds. Oh my goodness. This is an anime playlist. I can't take credit for this one. I've never heard dramaturgy. It kind of is getting hard though. He's thick. Make him do the thing with his hands. Agreed. Okay. Okay. Wait, it's kind of cute when he does it. How could you not like 6-7? Okay. This says add a few drops of food coloring to the mixture. We usually add 2 to 3 drops. Alright. So maybe 1 drop red, 1 drop blue? And see if that makes a nice shade of purple. This bowl is very deep. Come out. Okay. 1. And then 2. The red looks a bit larger. Maybe... There we go. Surely that's even. This is all very precise and very scientific. Don't even worry. Alright. Wish me luck. Wish me luck that this turns purple. Yuka's super hard with like 90 of their music? Well, we want the other 10%. Like, the other 10% sucks. Hmm. I don't know if this is a nice shit. Ah! I broke my mixing thing. Sheesh. It's okay. Use this one. Get this out of here. Is it a Gojo reference? Oh. Wait, the purple? Purple domain? I don't know. I don't know. I never saw it. I know purple is like the best one, right? Sorry. Getting glue on my hands. Hi Ray, how's it going? Happy weekend, happy weekends. The other 10% is just okay. Well, hey, at least you're being real. At least you're being honest. Okay. Get some more white in there. Is this Gojo purple? I think there's a little too much red. Hmm. It's like magenta leaning. They don't make them sticks like they used to. Well, to be fair, I'm using very thin craft sticks. I don't think they're meant to be mixing sticks. But, you know, it's all I had. No, I guess I could use, like, a plastic spatula. But I was worried about getting glue on my cooking stuff. Guess I would use popsicle stick, not a skewer. Yeah, the recipe called for popsicle sticks, but I was like, nah, I have sticks at home. It's fine. Mm. Do you guys like this shade, or should I put blue in it? Let me see if I can. Trying to get the lamp on it so you can see the color better. Is this a good color? Is this giving Galaxy? It looks like Trix yogurt. Wait, that's kind of awesome. Do we like it? Do we like it or no? We like it or are we freaking haters? Okay. Is this a step where I add glitter? I hate this slime. Oh, oh. Really? Would more blue help? Okay. Says make sure all the food coloring is mixed in. I think it's... Oh, there's some red on the side. Let me fix that. You nailed the color. You would make bank in a professional card shop. Oh my god, that would be so much fun. Wait, aren't you colorblind? I feel... I'm glad you like it, but I can't help but feel like maybe you're a little biased. Just kidding. Agree with Darren about the yogurt. This is a tasty looking color, I'm not gonna lie. It's very candy coated. Ugh, there's still a little red down here. It's unfortunate because it's already got so much red in it. Okay, I think it's good. I like it. All right. This is the color of our Galaxy foe today. All right. Push out the shaving cream into the cup and dump it into the bowl. There is no need for this to be precise. Just get it as close as you can. Okay, we've got like a little bit more than a cup and a half. But it says it doesn't have to be precise, so... Oh. Oh, she's a little bit stuck. Keep those guys away from Amori. Those guys from Amori away from this? Those guys from Amori. Is there somebody who likes yogurt in Amori? I don't even remember. Ugh. Okay, hold on. Maybe... I got this whisk just in case. Maybe this will help. Oh, okay. Oh, it just is stuck in the whisk instead. Hold on. It smells good. I don't know. Is this scented? It's thick and rich. Original. It doesn't say if it has a flavor, but it like... It smells like something. Kind of soapy. I guess that's regular. Don't you have a reading degree? I do have a reading degree. What does that have to do with Omori and yogurt? How does it taste like? You want me to taste it? I don't really want to taste it that much. Can I be honest with you? It probably doesn't taste too good. It probably tastes like soap. Ah, come out! Oh man. I need something with a higher surface area, I'm afraid. Alright, whatever. There's some left over, but since there was like overfilled, maybe like evens out itself, you know? Oh. Oh god. All good chemistry need to be tasted? Oh, I had no idea. That sounds dangerous, but you know, maybe you're onto something. You said it's a candy color, those fellas that robbed that candy shop? Oh, okay. Makes sense, makes sense. Must be nice to be both thick and rich. Living the dream. You're kind of real for that. Man, thick and rich like pecan pie. Ooh, do you guys like pecan pie? I do not like pecan pie. Why am I using a whisk instead of a spoon like a civilized being? I'm feeling judged a little bit right now. Okay, I'll go get a spoon, I guess. All right, watch my experiment. Make sure it doesn't explode, okay? I'm trusting you. You, this little guy. This guy doesn't have a name. He's just here. He's gonna be watching you. So make sure this doesn't explode. Say pecan again? Pecan? Do you say it like pecan? My mama says it like pecan. But I think I'm a pecan sayer. But maybe I don't know. I think it's pecan, but maybe pecan slips out sometimes. I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go get a spoon. Watch the experiment, okay? Okay, I'm back. Ah, good job! It didn't explode. I say it like Pisan to mess with people. Pisan. Pisan. That is so interesting. Since she's gone, it's safe to ask what is she even making. You can't tell. I put shaving cream and glue in a bowl, and you can't tell what I'm making. Anyway, I got a rubber scraper. Ooh, and I got a spoon. Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna do the rubber scraper. Let me try that out first. Oh my god. It's wait, it's kind of working. It could be worse. Nuclear material. That's explosive inside. Man, guys, guys, I need one of these slimes to turn out nicely. The borax one was kind of iffy. That one was like a 7 out of 10. I need a 10 out of 10 slime, okay? So do not be throwing this for me. Okay. Is that... Oh my goodness. All right. Okay, that worked so much better. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Get. All right. Perf. All right. Set that to the side. Um, Stir the shaving cream into the mixture. It will start to look fluffy. All right. I feel like the shaving cream is gonna get flat if it's being mixed, but maybe we trust the process. Oh, ooh, the purple is getting lighter. I really like light purple. This looks like one of those infomercials. The actor keeps like that say. What do you mean? Does this ever happen to you? And then it pans over to me, like trying to shake shaving cream out of a whisk. Ooh, it's so pastel. Maybe I should have put a little more food coloring in it. I didn't know the shaving cream would overpower it so much. This is looking fluffy though. Silly slime plus explosives equals serious slime. Guys, this has been serious slime the whole time. This is serious business. Are we also making oobleck today? Yeah! Check it out. I guess oobleck is just cornstarch and water, but I got cornstarch. Well, I already had cornstarch in my pantry, and I'm using it for this. But I have it here for oobleck. Alright, I think this is pretty stirred. This looks sus. You know that peachy warning? This doesn't look sus. I think when my hand was covered in glue earlier, maybe that was sus, but like this is pretty regular style. Alright. Add the contact solution a little bit at a time. This is what keeps the fluffy slime together and helps it not be sticky. It's very important that you use contact saline solution that contains boric acid. Use more or less as needed for your slime. More or less as needed? I have no idea what it's supposed to look like, so I don't know how much I need. But this does have boric acid in it. So I guess it says a little bit at a time. Is that... surely that's a little bit. You have hands? What's it to you? What's it to you? What's it to you, Missy? Oh, wait, this is so... That made it so stringy. This looks like Rice Krispies, like when you're melting the marshmallows for Rice Krispie treats. Put a little bit more. Ah! I hope that's not too much. Okay. Okay. We're getting stringier. Is that good? Has anybody made fluffy slime before? Is this regular? Oh, okay. Okay, we're kind of... Something's happening. I didn't know you had hands. The world's shaking. Tiger, I think you say this every single time. Is that real? I think... I think maybe your world is quite easily shaken. Ooh. Mm, it says it helps it be not as sticky. And it still seems pretty sticky. I'm just gonna pour all of it in there. Stretch and hydrate. Oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you. Hold on, let me stir this real quick and then I will. Oh, wow, that helped a lot. It's like not going on the sides anymore. Okay, get off of the spatula. Oh. It's not sticking to the bowl, but it's really, really gripping that spatula. Wait, I think this is good news. Ugh. 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 Slay. Okay. Okay, perf. Okay, I'm gonna hydrate. You guys wanna see what I'm drinking? Wow. Porcelain made gamer subs. Sheesh. She does not? Hey. Those hands are rendered with AI. AI could never. AI could never. Look. I got glitter stuck to my nails from the other slime. AI would never be that detailed. Also, you can't really see it. It's a little warm in here, so my hands are kind of like pink and hot, but I do have a mark, like a freckle at the top of my hand. AI would never be consistent about that. Oh, sorry. I shook the camera a little bit. I think this is all done. I think this is a nice consistency. I want to put glitter in it, but I don't know if fluffy slime... This recipe doesn't say if it can have glitter or not. Continue what? Continue to stir the mixture until it doesn't stick to the edge of the bowl anymore. The slime should start to clump together and form a ball. Knead the slime with your hands as well. This will help it get all mixed well. At first it'll be a little sticky, but as you knead the slime, it will get less sticky. Add just a bit more contact solution if needed. If it's too sticky, the slime should not stick to your hands after you're done stirring and kneading. Now the slime is ready for play. Okay. And then it says, it's super fun to handle for kids and adults. I even caught my man playing with it, but they capitalized the M and my and the end and the M in man. So I guess this person's man is like real important or something. Show off your, show off your gamer calluses. Do you see? Hold on. I read it after I picked this up. Hold on. Gamer callus check. Do you see? I don't know if it picks up on camera that well, but here and here, this is where like My hands are at the edge of my desk, and so I do have some pretty gnarly calluses there. I don't know how to get rid of them. They're just part of me now. Can we listen to Sticky by Tyler the Creator? Yeah. Maybe after I need this. Nah, that's a government name. My man. It's so funny. Slays, I love that song. I also love that song. I also like the K-pop song called Sticky. I don't remember who it's by. That one's pretty good. Upside Down? Wow, you are gonna have to wait so long for that. I am not doing that right now. Okay, I'm needing it. I'm needing it. Now? No! You are, no! You're gonna have to be patient. I've heard this. What anime is this from? I've definitely watched whatever this is from. I think this needs more context solution. It said it's not supposed to stick to hands, and this is sticking like crazy. Squeak? Alright. After this slime is formed, I'll do upside down and squeak. Boss? What? What? You are not in charge around here. Sigh. How do I add more context solution without getting my hands on it? Why not? Cause I'm just a hater. I'm just a hater. There's no good reason for me not to touch my sock monkey in my mouse right now. I'm just such a big hater. Hold on. I think if you like do it really fast, you can clean your hand. Okay. See, that worked. I'll put a little bit more. Who's in charge then? Monsley. Obviously. I don't. Hold on. It just says add just a bit more context solution if needed, if it's too sticky. I don't know what a bit is. Like a few drops? Wait, this is good. Is this from Fairy Tale? I don't know. This sounds like Fairy Tale to me, but I could not tell ya. You can use a pumice stone to get rid of calluses in the shower? Really? You can just like file them off? Wouldn't that hurt really bad? Okay. I'm needing it. I'm needing it. Wow. This hand is like so regular. And then this hand is like cooked. Oh, now they're both cooked. Okay. You just need to scrub one direction. You don't want to go back and forth to file it. Really? Wait, I never knew that. Can you just get a pumice stone from Walmart? Ooh, okay. It is your right. Yippee! Shout out to Fairy Tale. One of the first animes I ever saw. What a good one. Bloody hands for next hand cam. Yippee! Actually, it's all the way gone now. I was gonna do this last week, but I burnt my finger pretty bad on my oven rack. And like there's like a really gnarly blister here. And I was like, I don't want that to be on my hand cam. I don't want a giant blister. So I waited a bit. I don't know if I need to keep kneading or if I need more contact solution. But something's a bit sticky about this situation. Yeah. It's also looking less and less purple. It's still a really nice color. But it looks a bit more pink. Like whitish pink. Yeah, I had to go to a doctor for a sort of callus. And yeah, it helped tremendously. It just takes some time. Apparently you can go in from Walmart. Oh. Hey, that's kind of nice. Maybe look into that. They're not like crazy, but like it's definitely there. All right, solution. What, Tiger? Why are you just saying solution? Did I bunk my camera? Okay, whatever. You guys want to hold hands? Okay, surely this will help. Speaking of anime music, I'm watching Death Note. And it really blows my mind how much of this soundtrack I've heard before. Like, why is it so iconic? Really? I've never seen Death Note, and I've never listened to their soundtrack. Ugh. But I do love an iconic OST. I've been watching it, and some sound effects are like, wow, this is on TikTok. Wait, really? That's so fun. Hand holding. Is that allowed on Twitch? Surely. Surely, maybe. Listen, don't ask if it's allowed on Twitch. Just say yes or no. If it bothers you, shrugs. I don't know. It's not like crazy bothersome. It's just like I notice it. Wait, hold on. I think I'm getting somewhere. I'll hold your hand. Yippee! Yeah, all right, come here. All right. All right, come here. Get the slime all over your PC. Okay, well, that's kind of messed up of you. This slime is definitely more of like a texture that I associate with slime. Like the other one, oh, look at that bubble. The other one, didn't like do this cheese pull situation as much. I think I prefer this one's texture, but it's still so sticky. I started watching it. I was like, oh, am I gonna go through an anime phase in my 20s? That's not good. Wait, why is that not good? I think that's awesome. I mean, I kind of wish I was in an anime phase, but I'm just not that motivated to watch TV by myself. I'm more of a gamer. I have been watching Adventure Time though. That's a good one. Thank you for the alert. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ah! I got it on my sleeve. Ugh. This sucks. Watch Nana? Oh my goodness. Maybe I will. It does look good. I still need to watch Summertime Rendering. I told someone I was gonna watch that like months ago. And I never did. I don't know how to get this off of clothing. Okay, what if I put most of this down? And then use a little bit to like get it off. Maybe, possibly. Or maybe the contact solution will get it off. I don't even know. I don't even know. This is so stringy. I should watch Nana, but I have a watch list TBH. Yeah. Low-key same. Low-key same, and I'm not making any progress. Why did I start a Death Note? Because I was seeing posts about the fashion. I was like, OMG, just like Nana. Yo, that's so nice. It's kind of awesome. There's a goth baddie. There's a goth baddie, like I'm sold. Sheesh. Isn't she like not appreciated enough? Ah, okay, that didn't help at all. We're just gonna pretend like there's not slime on my sleeve. Where this maybe. I literally looked in the mirror yesterday before leaving the house and I was like, wait, why am I just like Misa? Sheesh. That's so cute. I've never seen Death Note, but I am familiar with like the characters. I don't know. I feel like it went kind of crazy in like the fandoms that I was in like a bunch of years ago. I feel like Death Note was like an adjacent one. Like so I feel like I was a fan in law in a way. And I think Misa is very pretty. So when at work yesterday put in an order for Misa, I just had to say silent, man. Nah, you shouldn't have said silent. You should have been like, oh my god, Death Note baddie. Do you guys ever put orders in and then like when they ask for your name, you just put a random one? I used to do that a bit more, but then one time they said, how do you spell that? And I fumbled. Because I was like, shoot, I don't know how to spell that actually. Put me on the spot. and so I have not done that since. Ah, man, I really want to give this slime so many points for feeling so nice, but it's just so sticky. I think I think I'm uh I think I'm gonna have to rate this one a 6 out of 10. It is quite it is quite too sticky for my tastes. What is the next experiment? It's just slime all day. It's just slime all day. Um, one of them will be oobleck, which I guess is a little different than slime, but pretty same concept. It's just a slime sort of day. Elephant toothpaste, nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. Not even done with the show, and I already painted a picture of Elle on a shirt. What if I end up hating him by the end? I won't. Surely you won't. I feel like once you like a character, it's kind of hard to like unlike them, you know? I feel like once you have determined that a character is your favorite or like you really like them, then their red flags kind of become irrelevant. Slime is cool. Nothing wrong with slime. Oh yeah. Except for the messy aspect. Oh, it kind of like playing with it in the bowl is kind of nice. I like that. All right. Shout out to 3 ingredient fluffy slime. Um, I think I need. Is it safe to wash this down the drain? I feel like this will mess up my pipes because it's like literally glue. But there is still so much residue. It's too sticky, isn't it? It should be more slimy, I think. Well, it said if it's too sticky, add more contact solution, and I already did it twice. You think I should just like full send it? Like a big squirt? Maybe that will help. Maybe I'll mix it with a spatula instead of my hands. Wait. I don't. Maybe that was too much, but that did do something. Get this stuff off the sides. Okay. It's still. It looked like it changed, but it still feels like it's sticking to my hands quite a bit. It's more runny now. Getting slime everywhere. Hmm. I think this one's just a little bit of a bust. And that's okay. That's okay. Maybe it needed more than 3 ingredients. But shout out to this mom who made this recipe. On. Maybe if we move it quick enough, we can get it to unstick a little more. Okay. That worked. I don't know how to do it for the other one. The bus gets a random itch and just scratches her head. Hey! I'm not much of a head scratcher. I don't think. Uh, uh, Surely that will not happen. Bald first time. Surely if I just pour contact solution in my head. it would help get it out. Surely I would not have to cut hair. You guys ever get gum stuck in your hair and then have to cut it? That never happened to me, but I feel like that happened in a lot of like children's shows that I saw. No. Like I think that happened in Gravity Falls. Two head empty for that. No. Gosh, what is all this slander? Okay. For gum you use olive oil, no? Oh maybe. I don't know, that never happened to me. I'm not sure. Silence, I had an original thought, not you. Oh, Gravity Falls reference. I don't is that really an original thought? I think that's just subjectively a reference. Surely many people have thought that before. Okay. That was fun. I like the noise it makes. I wish you could hear it. Let me see if you can hear it. I don't think you can really hear it. But it has like a nice popping noise. I think you can also put ice on it. That might be a 5-minute crafts thing. I think that would make sense because it would like get hardened a bit. Okay. Yippee. I don't think. Oh, understandable. Have a nice day. Hey, Freddy. How's it going? All right. Oh, thank you. Okay, slime number 2 complete. I'm gonna need more bowls. Out you. Awesome. Okay, should I make edible pudding slime? Hey, thanks, I guess. Edible slime next, oobleck next, or the laundry detergent one? Upside down and squeak. Oh, you're so right. Sorry. Sorry, I forgot. Tyler the Creator. Oh my god, sorry. Sticky. I'm gonna queue up both songs called Sticky because I like both of them quite a bit. Okay, and then I'm gonna maybe I need a paper towel before I squeak. It's been 20 years. Oh my god. Now you're unk status, huh? Maybe this will help. I don't know if that helped. That was like low-key moisturizing. How come that slime did not explode? I was fully prepared for explosion. Since the boss cooking. Hey. Some of my friends claim I already am, and it makes me sad. That's so funny. Kind of love that for you. All right. Here's Mansley. Yippee! Okay. Upside down is gonna be so tough. I'm just gonna flip the source in OBS. Because I cannot really do what I need to do. Transform. Flip vertical. Okay. Wow, I cannot see what my model looks like. Because there's a ring light in the way. Surely it's chill. Surely everything is chill. Okay, edible next. Edible slime. I think I need I still have this bowl. I might need a bigger one. I'm home, my love. Oh my goodness. Hi, welcome home. Alright. Pudding slime. Oh my goodness, there's so much. Jump to recipe. A fourth of a cup instant pudding mix, any flavor. I got a fourth of a cup. 1 cup of cornstarch. Oh shoot. I think I need to wash my cup. It has shaving cream in it. And then a 3rd cup of warm water. Okay. So I need warm water. We're gonna take a this is a nice ad break moment. What's this about? Because Darren gotta go. Oh yeah. We learned that Darren is Unk. And then they called us Unk, so kinda messed up. Hold on, let me see if I can safely put on baby sense. If I'm Unk, so are you guys. Hey. Hold on. I know I'm not upside down right now. I'll just be upside down for another 20 minutes. But I think it's gonna take a little bit to wash these things. If I'm Monk, so are you guys. That's fine with me. I don't really care. I don't really care. Alright. Please enjoy this baby sensory and then I'll be back.
Wowie! X-Cina 4WOWIE. Did you know that X-Cinnamon Fox subscribers are not getting served ads right now? Do you want to know how to get baby sensory time instead of ads? Well, all you have to do is click that little button that says, subscribe, on the bottom right of the screen. Click that and pay a measly $5.99 a month to get the best X-Cinnamon Fox perks, including ad-free viewing, emotes, Discord rules, and more. Sue Chat, you like jazz?
Oh my goodness, sorry. I'm like kind of back, but my phone's also on 10% and I can't find the cable cord long enough. So hold on just a second. I'm I'm finagling something. I'm finagling something. Maybe it's not working. It's so over. You pull who would win in a fight, Darren or Mick? What the? Why are you fighting? Just Fast hate us. Yeah, yeah. What is this? Guys, I don't hate you. I don't hate you. I'm just my phone's gonna die, and then no more hands. No more hands. Coming back to find out that I hallucinated months of my life. Oh my goodness, guys, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about, and you couldn't even see the baby sensory. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Sue chat. Guys, I don't really know what's happening. Please just continue to watch the baby sensory. I have a car battery, like well not a car battery. I have like a thing that like you can do your car tire pressure. And I think I can use that as a portable charger, but I'm not 100% sure. Everything is in shambles right now. You really went on a quest, huh? Well, I had to wash my like the slime is edible, right? So I had to wash the dishes really good because there was literal glue in them. But then I saw that my phone was on 10%, and that's what I'm using for my hand cam, and I don't want it to die. Came back with a car battery. It's true. That's true. Hold on. You just keep watching this baby sensory. Everything is so regular. And this isn't even the right cable cord. Mm. Ow. Chat, I'm back. I have a car battery. It's lovely. Thank you. It's on 1%. Hold on. Maybe. Yeah, I got nothing. Like, there's an outlet near me, but it doesn't reach all the way. But then the car, the car thing, it's not like the right plug-in type for my phone. I'm cooked. And if you douse a potato in lemon juice, you can charge your phone. That is a battery. Okay, but what are the chances you just have lemon juice in a potato in your car? Make the slime on the carpet. Well, my model's not gonna work. Extension cord? Oh, maybe I should get an extension cord. Okay, you guys keep watching Baby Sensory. I'm gonna get an extension cord. I'm sorry that took so long. I found one. I found one and it was so rough. It was so rough, but I'm here. Where am I? I'm here. My phone is on 6% instead of 1%. Like when they dance other music, it's funny. They're going crazy to this to the anime OSTs. Okay. Can we get Foss to voice the bear sensory? Let's pressure her into it when she's back from another quest. What would what would I even be voicing? Like, oh man, this fruit sure is interesting. Okay. Oh, hold on. It disconnected. It disconnected my thing. Bwap bwap bwap. You think that's what he's saying? Is bwap bwap bwap? Okay, hold on. Milk. Okay. I'm gonna gently set you back in your slot. Oh my god, pants reveal. Hello, exciting! This is exciting. Okay, we'll make sure the wires. Oh, it's like dragging. The wire's kind of like pulling it to the side. Hold on. This is so scuffed. Dutch angle? What is a Dutch angle? I am not familiar. This looks worse than it was before. Was it higher before? I don't know. I don't know. And this clamp does not want to stay clamped. Hold on. We're having some technical difficulties. Again, as per usual. He wants to spin on me so bad. Like, there's Mansley on the floor. Tachingo mentioned. I love knowing things. Oh. I do not be knowing. Okay. I think this is fine. I think this is a good enough angle. I don't know if it's Dutch or otherwise, but you know, it's here. Okay, fourth cup of instant pudding mix, any flavor. Is this the bowl I just cleaned out? Yes, it is. I don't know what to do with the rest of this. This is the pudding mix that I got. It's strawberry. I think Jello updated their boxes. I don't remember it being so cutesy. Wow. Dachinko is a type of camera angle used in film and photography. Typically used to show suspense or unease in a scene to basically indicate something's off. I figured it was a type of camera angle, but I didn't know like what it was. It just like skewed. Also, hi Shade. How's it going? You flipped yourself vertically? I did. I did do that. Whoa, context clues. Yeah, I'm pretty good at those, huh? Okay. Add instant pudding mix and half your cornstarch into a mixing bowl. Add a third cup of water. Ugh, I didn't get warm water! Someone get warm water for me. I'm tired of going on quests. I guess I'll do that after I measure stuff. There's a lot of art to it, but they're way overly used. Oh. I don't think I noticed like camera angles too much. I don't have that photographer's eye yet. Okay. This is how you should do upside down from now on. No, I like the other way better. I just could not get to my keyboard. Alright, we got 1/4 of a cup. Hmm. Can I pour this safely? I don't know. Go fetch you some water, Frosty Wusty. Thank you. It's gotta be warm water. Don't forget. So, I just got home from work? Oh. You work on Saturdays? Aw, man. That's so sad. Okay, we're getting somewhere. I don't know what to do with the rest of this pudding. I guess probably make it. But I don't know how much to adjust for it. If anybody wants strawberry pudding, hit me up. Okay. I'll put this over here. Pudding mix right next to the borax. It smells good. It smells very strawberry, like artificial strawberry. Okay, add pudding mix and half your cornstarch to a mixing bowl. Okay, so the pudding mix can go in here. It's like a movie class in as an elective when I was doing my bachelor's. I actually really enjoyed it. Yo! That sounds like a fun class. I didn't take any sort of film studies in any part of my schooling. I'm on my way. Thank you. Make 1 billion slime? Wait, why am I making 1 billion slime? Okay, hold on. 1 cup of corn. cornstarch. Okay, here's my 1 cup. Here's my cornstarch. I just clocked that we were listening to Soul Eater song. Yeah, we're listening to anime songs for today. Oh, I don't think this will fit. I guess I'm gonna pour it so gently. How does it taste like? You want me to eat the raw powder? Is that safe to eat? Raw, yes, okay. Yes, it is safe. Alright. I believe random people on the internet. Alright. Do you want the first bite? Eat up. Ow. Ah! Oh my god. Wait, it's not that bad. It's so... It's kind of like a pixie stick, but not as gritty. It just... I wasn't expecting it to be so... strong. Famous last words. Oh, do you hand it over? Yeah, you can have it. I don't really want it. Be careful. You can kind of breathe it in like cinnamon. Ooh. I've never eaten just cinnamon. I heard that is quite dangerous. Because it's just tree bark. Ah! Oh. Okay, well, surely that's fine. It's nice knowing you. I'm gonna die. Oh, that's so powdery. I'm gonna die now. Okay, what if I do... What if I... The half fit? The half doesn't fit. Man, I would use a spoon, but I just put my mouth on it. Sigh. I'm gonna put this over here so I know not to use it because I put my mouth on it. Everything is going wrong. Well, I don't know how to pour it without it exploding. But yeah, whenever you get a thing of gamer subs, there's a label on it that says "Do not sniff," because I guess you can breathe it in, and that makes me want to sniff it every time. Oh, okay. I think it's because you're clumsy. Nuh-uh. Not that clumsy. Oh, darn it. Looks like you can't eat it raw because it's super toxic killer 500 disease. Man. What's in... How do you make pudding? 2 cups of boiling water and 2 cups of cold water. So it just needs water. So surely... I ate the pudding mix. Now surely if I just drink some water, it like will make pudding in my stomach and it'll like even it out, you know? I'm huffing my gamer subs. That's so real. That's so real. I love gamer subs. This really is... This is really that bad infomercial show? Yo. Hold on, this... I feel like this needs to be leveled. But I don't know what to level this into. Can I just, like, level it onto my desk? Surely it's fine. Surely that will not come to bite me later. Okay. And it says half of your cornstarch mix into a mixing bowl. Man, so I should have just used the half cup anyway and done it in 2 parts. Man. What if it makes you turn colors like blue or pink? That'd be kind of awesome. It's strawberry, so probably pink. Alright. Yeah, this is looking... Oh, no. This is looking like half. Yeah. On the topic of Jello art for the boxes, I'm like fairly certain that you seriously haven't changed the box design since the 90s. Really? I remember it being like a different font. Look, it's so cutesy now. And I feel like it used to be like harsher fonts. Right? I don't know. In high school, I wrote a short story about people who find out that sniffing glitter makes you have really cool, vivid hallucinations. I recently found it and was like, WTF is going on back with me? What's going on with me back then? I think that's awesome. Okay, now it says add a third of a cup of water and stir until slime begins to form. I didn't get warm water. I'll be right back. Please watch this mixture. Make sure nothing happens to it. I don't want to touch my little guys. I guess this one's the easiest to watch. All right. He's watching you, so don't misbehave, okay? And watch this and make sure it doesn't blow up. I forgot the cup. Hold on. Okay, we're good. Okay, I'm here. I looked at the meniscus and everything. Sheesh. I sneeze. Oh my god! Do not spit in the bowl while Frost is gone. That would be terrible. I sneezed in it. Kirby in the bowl? Oh my god. You guys do not know how to behave, huh? He's gonna... He's gonna show up at under your bed at night. He's gonna freaking get you. Because you did not behave. Okay. I hope it's warm enough. It didn't say hot, so it's just kind of like warm. But I feel like for pudding, it's gotta be hot. Oh well, I'm just showing the recipe. Add a third cup of water and stir until slime begins to form. Okay. Well, thank goodness I have this pile of cornstarch on the floor. Wait, hold on. This is not centered. Oh god. Okay, good enough. Goodbye, Kirby. Yo! I love Kirby. I hope this bowl is big enough. Oh, it's so pink. Did she really blend a Kirby and put it in the bowl? Brutal, hey! Like, this isn't even Kirby pink. This is too saturated. Kirby is, like, a lot paler. Ugh. Okay. Okay, I think it dissolved nicely. It's so bloody. I guess this is almost Danganronpa blood, but not quite. I think it would need a little bit more, like, bluish purple tint. But look, Kirby is a completely different shade unless you're just doing his feet. I got cornstarch on him. Don't look at that. Completely different. Now this little Yoshi, maybe. Still not quite though. His shoes are red. Danganronpa mentioned that's crazy. Is that crazy? I don't know. I played 1 and 2 on stream. I'm gonna play Danganronpa 3 after I'm done with Amori. I love Danganronpa. Okay. It says stir until slime begins to form. It's quite watery. I don't really know if slime is forming. Beet soup. Gotta be much stronger for that. We love Danganronpa around here. We do. I can kind of feel like the bottom of the bowl is sort of like something's going on down there, but it's still not quite slime. Maybe it's because there's cornstarch on the sides. Oof. Get the cornstarch on the sides of the bowl. I'm getting it. I really enjoyed the first game. You haven't played the others? Ooh. I think I like Danganronpa 2 better than Danganronpa 1. But maybe it's just because I like the characters more. I don't know. Hey, it's getting a little thicker. The water's cold, it will never melt. It's not hot, but it definitely was not cold. Try putting more water in it. But it's already liquidy. I need the opposite of water. Is this oobleck? No, this is edible slime with pudding mix. Oobleck is next. Goofy ass streamer can't make slime, you're cooked. Yo! Yeah, you're right. We're kind of 0 for 3. Okay, well, it says begins to form. Maybe this is the begin part. Ah, when does this explode? I don't know. Hopefully never, but I guess we'll see. Slowly add the rest of your cornstarch string as you go. Okay. Ah, that was not slow, huh? Oh, good. When the slime becomes difficult to stir with a spoon, finish mixing by hand? Yo, I don't want to eat it if my hands were all over it. That's weird. Well, I guess that's how bread is. And bread is good. I guess Form isn't very detailed about how it's supposed to look. It's not at all. Like, it really wasn't that thick, but it is definitely thicker than when I started. I'm gonna choose to believe that it's not my fault that the slimes aren't going that good. It's like the recipe, you know? Like, I followed the recipe as best as I could, and they were just withholding information. Are we literally just gonna make oobleck? Isn't that just starch and water? Yeah, I have a recipe pulled up, and it's literally just put some water on some cornstarch. So I guess we're gonna see what happens. Oh, it is beginning to get difficult, but I'm not putting my hands in this yet. Is this what baking streams are like? I have some streamer friends that do baking streams, and I don't know. I feel like when somebody's watching you do stuff, everything goes wrong. Oh, what the weird texture. I don't know if you guys have ever like had cornstarch on your hands or like have mixed it before, but it kind of has a nails on chalkboard feel, or maybe just like a chalky feel is a better way to describe it. It's kind of a sensory nightmare. Oh, oh no. Eek. Did it like achieved? Wait, really? Is this oobleck? It is doing a liquid solid thing that you guys are telling me about. Why does cornstarch make things stretchy? Can someone explain the science of that? I don't think I can explain any science of any cornstarch. And there's all this still. Should I put it in? I don't know. I'm convinced you can't bake. Really? I feel like I can bake pretty alright. I think cooking is a little difficult for me, but baking is quite alright. It's so thick. Gotta go hands, I think, because it's getting solid. Okay. Okay. I guess I'm getting hands in there. Science still can't explain that. Something about phase change upon impact. Yeah, it's a Newtonian fluid. Oh! Ah! I don't like it. Ugh. Why is it so solid? Ugh. I really don't like cornstarch on my hands. Mm. Ugh. Okay. If you were a slime girl, what color would you be? Oh. Assuming I could be any color, I think orange. What the hell is this? Maybe this is too much cornstarch. I didn't even use all of it though. Ugh. Obviously candy pink. Oh, you think I would be pink? That's so cute. I like pink a lot. I like pink a lot. Ugh. Ugh. What is this? I've never witnessed you succeed in baking. That's because you always bake with me. But when I made you brownies, they were pretty good, weren't they? I'd be the classic green. Oh, the classic, like Charlie XCX green. That'd be awesome. I really want Buzz to be a blue slime girl. I get like I've got some blue accents. This is weird. This is weird as hell. I guess this is Oobleck, because why is it like hard and then. Are you guys seeing this? It just melts. It melts really bad, but then you like grab it and it fixes itself. This is so weird. This was not labeled as oobleck. This is labeled as edible pudding slime recipe. If slime is still sticky, add more cornstarch. If slime is too thick, add more liquid until you have the perfect texture. I think it needs a little more liquid, but I didn't bring any extra water. They were box brownies? Yeah, but they were good. I think it still counts. Okay, it looks like something that would be very deadly in D&D. Like, it'd be corrosive, huh? Still miss Smurfus? We haven't seen her in a long time. Yeah, it's true. It's true. You can throw it to the wall. It will be okay. Yo! Take a bite. Should I take a bite? What texture is it in your mouth, then, if it's liquid and then solid? Like, will it be really hard or will it be slimy? You put a bit too much starch, but you still got it. Just punch it? Well, punching it makes it hard. I need it to be more liquidy. Like, it won't come out. No, the monster blood from Goosebumps. I remember like a slime creature a little bit. It's like in the library with them. Is that what that was? Maybe I'll get a little bit more water. Oh, this is rough. Punch it, lick it. Take a nice little bite. I feel like it's more interesting when it's liquid than when it's solid. I really don't like the cornstarch feeling. I'm gonna get just a little bit of water, maybe, and then we will lick it. Spit in the bowl? I'm not doing that on stream. Oh my god, hi stream. Hold on. I don't hate you guys. I'm just getting water. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Ugh. I tried to get a good amount of water so I wouldn't have to keep leaving. Yo! Thank you. you. Thank you for the bit. That's so sweet. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hold on. I'm gonna be not upside down. It's been thank you. It's been it's been 10 minutes, surely. Okay. There we go. Also, thank you for the bonk. All right. Maybe just a little tiny bit. Is that a little tiny bit? I guess we'll see. It's just sitting on the top. I'm also scared to eat it because, like, the cornstarch is just powdery. Wait, how do I mix it? This is cooked. She said on stream implying she'd most certainly spit into the bowl off stream. Yo! That's kind of real. You guys can't see that though. No fox girl spit. Guys, I think this is cooked. Oh, 7 bowl. Do you think I'll ever be able to like wash this? Why is it so hard? Turn liquid again, please. Please, 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 please. Think you really got just pick it up and start hand mixing it a little? But how do I pick it up if it's like stuck? Hot water will melt it, no worries. There's some worries. Like you say no worries, but I'm worried. Okay. It's just gonna be really sticky. Alright. Okay. Have you guys done this before? One piece at a time. Okay, one piece at a time. I can do that. Is this too much water? Do I need more cornstarch? Stop! It's like hard and then it starts dripping in there. I'm worried. Upside down. Oh my goodness. You guys are the reason I turn off upside down for stuff like this. Okay, well you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait until I'm done with this. Because my hands are occupied. Nope, never done this. I will never do this. I didn't know if anyone like did it in school or something. Did I watch this? I just can't get rid of that image of Kirby someone put in my head. What image of Kirby? Like a cursed Kirby? We'll solve with enough water, but we'll be fine. I'm just gonna have to eat my cereal with like a layer of oobleck on the bottom of it. Darn it. Maybe I can scoop up with the spoon and then mix it with my hand. Made the first kind in school a long time ago? I never made slime in school. Wow, I'm sorry. My hands look gross. Okay. Can you just stay in my hand and not fall out, please? Okay, 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 okay. Yeah. You should go upside down via transform and flip vertically. At least the tail won't get in the way. Well, yeah, that's what I'm doing because I can't get to my keyboard to go into VC face. Listen, you worry about you and I'll worry about me. And I'll go upside down eventually. You just have to wait a little bit. Slime? Hi. Slime indeed. Okay. Get the feeling Foss never went to school. Okay, you saying that I'm cool sounds like a compliment, but I feel like it's a little... Like, you gotta be clowning on me a little bit to say that I didn't go to school, right? I mean, from now on, too? Oh, nah. I'm good. I'm good. You need more channel points for that one. Sorry, seeing how sticky it is, I'd be so icked out. I feel like the visual is really icky. Like, looking at my hands, I'm like, that's disgusting. Like, I would not be watching this stream right now. But the feeling is like, whatever. I don't really mind being messy. Like, it's not my favorite, obviously, but, you know, it could be worse. Hydrate, y'all. You're gonna have to wait. I am not getting this weird pink pudding mix on porcelain. Porcelain? Porcelain made. I like watching you struggle and crash out. Thank you. Don't really like stuff being stuck to my hands. Yeah, it's not the best, but it's like whatever. Like, I'm sure I've been in grosser situations, and I'm sure I will be in grosser situations. You just kind of block it out. Porcelain. Porcelain maid. Lawbreaker, pay the fine or go to prison. Come and get me. Come and get me. I'm gonna throw this at you. Maybe I shouldn't have picked strawberry. Maybe vanilla would have been a more pleasant color. Porcelain. Okay, hold on. I've been in grosser situations, and I think that's personally where it comes from. That makes sense. Okay, stay sticky. It's so hard to grab. Stop. It's so hard to grab it and then not let it fall out of your hands. Do not do vanilla. I think it recommended in this recipe vanilla, but I was like, I feel like a color is more fun. Only a lot of frost broke was the law of gravity. Sigh. It's true. I certainly never speed when I'm driving. Kinda looks like wax. It does look a bit waxy. This is so gross! Okay, I got on my towel. Whatever. Whatever's left in the bowl is not my business. Surely this is good enough. Just grab it better. Of all the people, you were supposed to be on my side. Side? Alright, I made you dinner. Do you like it? Do you like it? Wow. Wow. For you. I feel like it looks like what melted starburst would look like. Yo, that was actually another recipe that was posted in my Discord server. There's two edible slime recipes. There's this one, and then there's like you can melt starburst. But I don't have like a hot plate. So I didn't want to like have to go back and forth, you know? So I chose this one. But, you know, if you're curious, there is a Starburst slime recipe in my Discord server. Great, thank you. Yum! If this is dinner, I would run. What do you mean? Stop touching my dinner? Man. That'll be fun to wash off. Yeah, it's like, I don't know if you can tell, but it's like staining my hands. Should I take a bite of this? I don't know. I feel like eating cornstarch is not excellent. But maybe it's mixed good enough. What if I lick it? Is that fine? Maybe I'll lick it. This is so this is so weird. Okay. We're here for the edible slime. You gotta take a small bite. Alright, I'll take is this a small bite? Babe, what's wrong? You've hardly touched your Kirby flesh slime dinner. That's what I'm saying. Actually, this probably isn't mixed. Darn it, I shouldn't have put it down. Okay. Maybe this is a good amount. Here, you first. Say, ah. Say, ah. Here, you gotta eat it before it melts. Guys, you're not doing it. Oh, thank you. There you go. Ah. Okay. I'm gonna maybe eat this. Yeah. That's so messed up. That's so messed up. Do you know how much money I spent on the stream? Like $20. $20. This was a loss for me, and you guys are being mean. Okay, I'm gonna eat this. Oh, I licked it first? And it's... I think the cornstarch kind of... You for the one bit. Oh, thank you for the sub, Dia. That's so sweet. It's, I think that gives me like $3. And Kaya gave me 6-7 cents earlier, so you know, I've almost made half my money back. Thank you. Mm, mm. Oh, I don't really hate it, but I don't really like it either. Thank you, Kaya. And thank you, Rick. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you for all the bits. This is the only number I can go. It's understandable. Yo! Ray Shift, thank you. I love bits. Aw, we got a hype chain going. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is surely worth it. I'm putting this in my mouth. It's so weird. If you let it sit in your mouth, it's like liquid. And it kind of sticks to the roof of your mouth. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And twisting. Thank you. Thank you, Shrimp, for the giant feral. The feral shrimp. That's so lovely. And thank you, Darren, for the 100 bits. Thank you all so much. Honestly, I would eat this. I wouldn't eat this whole thing, but it's kind of like candy. Just like weird. I don't know. You ever get really cheap candy and it's like kind of a weird texture? And it's like, the flavor's kind of good, but the texture's weird. That's kind of what this tastes like. This is kind of like chalky strawberry candy that leaves a weird coating in your mouth. I like this one. I think this recipe is maybe a 9 out of 10. It was a little hard, and I don't know how I'm gonna get it out of the bowl. I guess with a lot of warm water. This is kind of fun. Probably not very sanitary. Dear, thank you. Thank you, thank you. You all are so sweet. Um, well, do you think I should still make oobleck? I feel like this kind of did the same thing as oobleck. There's just like pudding mixed in there as well. A 9 out of 10? Fuss British? Fuss is not British. Fuss is from the United States. It's just hard to talk with cornstarch in your mouth. Put water on the starch on your desk? Okay. I don't think that did anything. I think the ratio is probably not quite there. It's kind of just a mess. Pour starch on the water on your desk? Okay. It's not doing much. This is kind of just making a mess. I don't know it. I don't know what the ratio is supposed to be. Pour Dia on your desk, I would. Come here, Dia. Come here, let me pour you. Okay. That was fun. It kind of looks like glue. I made glue. Yippee. This is like this video of people making slime on the carpet. I have not seen that, but that sounds horrible. I've seen people like pour coffee on their carpet as like a everything's gonna be okay, like inspirational situation. Where it's like, look, it doesn't matter. Nobody's gonna yell at you. It comes out, it's clean, it's okay. You know? Like I've seen those types of videos, but I've never seen somebody making stuff. Wowie. We need to know what the cats think. Oh, I closed the door to my office because I got like borax and glue and shaving cream, and I did not want them to sniff it. Let's throw Dia at the desk. No! We love Dia. We will not be throwing them. Get Scylla in here. She's gonna eat this. I really should have done this one last. This is quite unfortunate. I will sniff the glue. No! No! Okay, I gotta clean up a little bit. Ugh. not letting Scylla have a little borax as a treat on her birthday. Rude. Girl, I don't want her to spend her birthday in the hospital. I don't even know what borax is. Some sort of laundry something. Scylla deserves a little treat. I'll give her a squeeze up. Like one of the cat Go-Gurt treats. Later. Hmm, okay. Make way for Prince Ali. Bow, 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 bow. Aw, man. Who poured water on my desk? Borax is the Lorex's cousin? Oh, okay. I still don't think Scylla should be eating that. Is Scylla the tortie? Is that the other one? Persephone's the tortie. Scylla is a gray tuxedo. Ugh. Yo, whose idea was this? It's raw! Everything's raw. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'm just... surely a little cornstarch never hurt any wood, right? This is so awesome. Big foster, and I do not know her cats. Sigh. It's so sad. It's okay. Now you know for next time. Never make that mistake again. I'll never forget you. Forget? I'll never forgive you. I guess I'll never forget you either. Okay. I'm gonna go wash my hands. I want to give you Kirby, but I don't want to touch him. I'll grab him like this. Okay, here's Kirby. Please be entertained by him, and then I'll be right back. You don't want to touch Kirby. Hey, what's wrong with Kirby, huh? Okay, I'll be right back. Please behave. Please behave. He's watching. Okay, bye. Okay, I'm back. Were you good? Did you behave? Kirby will tell me if you didn't behave, so you better just be honest, okay? Anyway, I got a new towel. Oh, maybe she should be front facing. Okay. In a bowl. Please remove all items from the bagging area. What are we bagging? Anyway, my hands are clean, but they're like a little tiny bit pink. Like this is my skin color, and then this is that. Womp. Now we can have upside down fast and hydrate. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry for forgetting. I also got some laundry detergent. Wow. I don't know how much laundry detergent I need, but surely that would be enough. Okay, I'm hiding. This is what shrimps sound like. You should listen harder next time. You shall see the resemblance. I don't even know what's happening in my chat right now, but surely that's not important. What slime is this? It's a laundry detergent one. Drink review. We're bagging straight up baddies and money. Haha. Is that real? I don't think that's real. Okay. And oh my god, there's me. Hi. Oh, it was centered so nicely. Okay, whatever. Beautiful. Transform. Flip. Okay. There you go. If I string size, she'll definitely turn blue. I'll probably die. Okay, let's see. This is 2-ingredient slime laundry detergent. Laundry detergent slime. Let's see. Oh, I only needed a tablespoon. I got a bit more than a tablespoon. It's okay. I'll just do laundry after stream and I'll use it. Half a cup of glue. Aw, man, there's water in this. Maybe I could make oobleck first and it'll use the water. I don't have enough bowls. Whatever. Everything is fine. Scuff, hey! Nuh-uh. I don't know. Do you guys think I should even make oobleck? Or do you think the pudding was, like, oobleck enough? I don't know how the pudding powder changed the consistency of oobleck. I don't know if it's, like, a little bit nicer if there's not pudding powder in there. I'm back just about to clock into work. I hope work goes so good today! Have so much fun! I said this earlier, but you missed it. But tuxedo plus tortilla is the best combo. Not biased at all. Oh, surely you're not biased even a little bit. Surely. If I just pour the water out the window. Damn. You can turn blue and die. Seems like a good deal. I don't consider. Hey. I feel like you wouldn't like oobleck if you didn't like the pudding one. Do you think it's the same texture? Like, is oobleck any different from this? I don't know. Out the window, out the wall? Sheesh! Happy weekend, everybody. Shrimp cannot use words. Oh, you know, I think it's impressive that a shrimp learned English. Anyway, that's something. My arm is heavy, so I was resting my eyes. My arm? Yo! Thank you for the 50 bits! That's so sweet of you! Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you! This minute? Wait, what am I doing this minute? How much to get $200. I am not doing that. I am not doing a tongue reveal. Aside from the fact that that's like really like a little strange, I'm a little self-conscious about my tongue because it's split down the middle. And I also have a condition called geographic tongue, which makes my tongue sort of somewhat white, you know? So I don't know. I don't have the cutest tongue. Not gonna lie to you. Wait, what was I reading? Got so confused when I opened them to see the tail of the girl attached on the ceiling. Girl with a tail attached? Is that all I am to you? A girl with a tail attached. It would still be the same texture and messy. Okay, then maybe I won't do that. Can I get the hydrate redeems now? Or did I just get swindled by this silver tongue slime seller? Yo, I just had a drink. I'll drink again if you missed it. How about ear reveal? I don't think there's a way for me to do that without revealing my whole face. I did one during the pumpkin carving. Yeah, you have a cute tongue though. I would know. Yeah. Should we do a poll on how fast should be upside down? Option 1 is flip vertically. Option 2 is the boring way. No. No, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. How much is $200 in Spanish real? How much is $200 in Spanish real? Are you asking what is $200 in Spanish? That would be $200. Is that what you're asking? Tail with a girl attached. Ugh. Whatever. Whatever. Somebody drink this water so I can do this properly without having to pour it out. Plus, you should sell your slimes like the renowned potion seller. You guys can't handle my slimes. You can't handle my slimes. I would say this pudding oobleck one, like you can have it for free. Just pay for shipping, I guess. I want this out of here. And then the fluffy one, I think this is a solid $10 one. It's kind of nice. It's a little bit too sticky, but as long as you handle it correctly, I think it's kind of awesome. And then the first one I made, which is just regular glittery slime, this one gonna be $5. Ah! It got really thick. It got really thick. I'm not sure why. Look, it's like holding its shape. I don't know. $3 to $5. You can haggle, I guess. A slurp? Is that you drinking the water for me? That is so nice of you. Okay, I guess I'm gonna pour the water out. Glitter? Can I eat the glitter? Are you asking like if it's safe to eat or if you can physically do it? Like you can physically do it. I won't stop you, but I don't think it's very safe. All right, hold on. I'm gonna pour this out. I'm gonna be like so incredibly right back. Like it will. You don't even need someone to watch you. You're gonna be fine. The birthday girl snuck in. Here she is. Everybody tell her happy birthday. Pretty awesome. Okay, sorry. I gotta kick her out now. She can't be in here. Okay. I hope that was I hope that was awesome for you. Where's my cup? Oh, I put it over here. I'm gonna dry it out because I feel like if it's cornstarch, it probably can't be wet. Thank you all. Thank you all for wishing her happy birthday. She's showing us our kitty on stream. Scheiße. Don't kick her. I didn't kick her. I went outside of my office And then I threw a little spring toy and she ran after it, and then I closed the door. Happy birthday, now get out. Listen, I'm sorry. I know it seems mean, but like, I just want her to be safe, you know? I don't think this is a safe situation. Us has an office? Yeah. I have a bedroom and an office. Okay. Oh wait, this isn't even cornstarch. I was like, oh, I have to make sure it's all dry, but this is just glue and laundry detergent. Okay, whatever. Half a cup of glue. No other rooms. Yeah, I cook my food in my bedroom. Yo. There's still some. I didn't even put pudding powder in this. Why is this in here? Whatever. It's fine. Is this where fast works? I do be working. In a way. No kitchen. No kitchen. No bathroom. No living room. Just bedroom office. The front door is in the bedroom, and then there's a door between the bedroom and the office. Stinky. Ugh. No, whenever it rains, I just go outside with a little scrubby sponge. It is fine. Oh, thank you for the bonk. Almost there. Okay. Uh, almost half. Almost half. I thought I'd be like low on glue. I still have 2 whole bottles. It hurts. It hurts this part of my hand. Don't like it. If I wasn't streaming, I'd use my teas. Would you use the bathroom? Yo, don't ask me that. That's weird and creepy. That's, you just gonna have to come up with your own conclusions. Glad you didn't spend $13 on a gallon of glue. Me too. I don't even know what I'd do with it afterwards. Because at least with school glue, like, I can use it for scrapbooking and stuff. But like a big gallon, you just like pour it on your piece of paper and then it's all wet. Don't use your teeth. The dentist will get you. I fear no dentist. Can't lift my arms up. So now, good night. Have fun. Ah, good night. Good night, good night, good night. I hope your arms are like okay. Can we get some tucks? Can we get some tucks for Dia? Ah! Oh yeah, I'm using my teeth. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell my dentist. Ah! That didn't even work. Oh wait, it worked. Like that's for my teeth. Okay. Anyways. More glue. Okay, that's half a cup. Beautiful. Dentist, this fox girl here, get her. Oh my god. It's okay. I got slime. I got slime as a defensive weapon. Your teeth. No, my teeth are fine. My teeth are fine. They can handle it. Now this recipe says 1 laundry detergent. But then like later in the thing it says 1 tablespoon. I just think it's funny in the like equipment list it says 1 laundry detergent. Yeah, can I buy 1 laundry detergent, please? Oh yeah, I don't have a tablespoon. We gotta go halvesies. Add some white glue to a bowl. Maybe about half a cup worth to begin with. What do you mean maybe? I thought you were giving me the recipe. yeah, maybe put half a cup. I don't freaking know. Stir in 1 tablespoon of liquid Tide detergent. Oh, this is not Tide. This is like Great Value Walmart brand. Surely it's fine. Stir in 1 tablespoon of liquid Tide laundry detergent at a time. Stirring in between until it thickens. Other brands, other brands may not work. All right. Well, I guess we're gonna see if it works. I guess they mean okay. They mean 1 tablespoon at a time. They don't mean 1 tablespoon total. This is kind of a scuffy recipe, but that's okay. Floss isn't scared of the dentist. It's true. I'm not. I'm not. They said, Fuss, you probably need to get your wisdom teeth removed. And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. Nuh-uh. And I've been saying nuh-uh for a lot of years, and so far, no issues. Huh. Pretty cool, huh? Why is your slime sponsored by Tide? I don't know. I assume they just tried different brands and was like, Tide works the best, but, you know, surely this is like a rip-off Tide and it's fine. Scuffy recipe for Scuffy Pot. Pot? Scuffy Pox. Scuffy Fox. Sigh. Alright, sweeties, I made you dinner. Oh, I spill on my thing. But I guess this is going in the laundry anyway, so it's like pre-wash, huh? Stirring in between until it thickens. Continue kneading until it is the right consistency. Wow, this sucks. To stiffen it up, add a tiny drop of detergent and knead again. Always wash hands after playing with this slime and do not consume. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Did Tide write this recipe? Going hard for one brand. Well, I feel like they kind of sucked at it. Their grammar's a little off. Speaking of not lifting arms, Fast Model cannot do it either. Like I can, but it's a little funky. Me too, Frost. You too? Oh my god. We're so wise. We have so much wisdom stored in our teeth. By this point, I think she's doing this just to show off her fancy towels. Did you like the pineapple one? You can freaking have it. I think it's cute, but I don't know. It kind of has like almost a microfiber texture, and I really don't like it. This one I like a lot, though. This one I like a lot. Yummy, yummy. Can I have a side of Tide Pods with dinner? Oh, I don't have any Tide Pods. Maybe if you behave yourself, we can go to the store and get you get you some dessert. Grab a handful of skewers and stir with all of them. You are so weird. Okay. Do you think this will help with the surface area issue? Hmm. It's thickening a little bit. What anime is this from? I've heard this song so many times. Ah! Do you guys see that? It like jumped out. And now there's splooge. Is this an anime intro? Well, it's from a anime intros that go hard playlist. I will say some of them are outros, like they kind of lied, but I assume it's an anime song. It's Sanrio. I love Sanrio. Kuromi's your favorite? Aw, what a good one. My favorite is Cinnamoroll, but I really like My Melody as well. They're all pretty good. That is just a Yosobi top song. I know they have a song that's in Beastars. So I assume they have other anime songs. When does this explode? Man, you just really want to see something blow up, huh? Here, you want your explosion? Oh, that feels horrible. Pew, 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 pew. Pew, pew, pew. There you go, it exploded. I hate My Melody. Also, Apothecary Diaries. Oh, swag. What's this one from then? Man, I love My Melody. I'm gonna have to vacuum so much. and wash all my clothes. And Loki probably wipe my desk off. I don't know how thick this should be before I start kneading it. It just says stirring in between until it thickens. Maybe it'll never thicken because it's not Tide brand. And then step 2 is continue kneading until it's the right consistency. It says continue kneading, but it doesn't tell me when to start kneading. All this cooking is making you hungry. Alright, open up. Oh, we got a little cornstarch in there. Get that out of there. Okay. I like Apothecary Diaries. Just USOB singer did a song for it. I think that's awesome. All the plushies of Sanrio want to see? I'd like to see. I like seeing people's plushies. Do you think this is cooked because it's not tied? Mm. Her power is just manipulating people. She's cute, but she's rude. No, I kind of love that. I mean, Chromie's also rude. She's just like open about it. How much Tide do we have to put in before this turns into something? This one might just be a flop. This recipe might be like a 2 out of 10. And it's only a 2 instead of a 1 because I don't have Tide. So like maybe it would work if I had Tide, but kind of scuffed. It's an IRL pics. Yippee! I'll look after stream. I'll look after stream. Chromie's motivations are making her loved ones get along. Yeah. I think she's just not the best at showing love. She's got that like tsundere thing going on. I still like her a lot, but I like my Melody. Okay, I guess I'm gonna need... Oh, this is just not gonna turn into slime. Maybe I'll put more glue in it. Chromie's a tsundere one. My Melody is a sweetheart. I think what they're saying is that at least in the show, my Melody kind of manipulates people. Like she'll be like, "Please do this," and then even if people don't want to do it, they like do it for her because she's like magical. I think they're saying that that's kind of mean and manipulative. Ham. More glue, maybe. This sure is a texture. My girl Agretsuko is simply a cog in the capitalist machine. You hate to see it. I've never seen Agretsuko. It seems like a really cute concept, but I never got around to watching it. Oh. I just saw the super cute adventures though. I've only seen Kuru Kuru Shuffle. Oh, yeah, I've never watched the super cute adventures. I know every piece of Sanrio media I've seen, I really liked. Thank you. Oh my god, Hydrate. You're so lucky that I only put one hand in that. Maybe you're unlucky. Depends on what you're going for, I guess. I haven't seen all of it, but the seasons I've seen were incredible. Like, that's so cute. Shout out to Sanrio. I just watched this YouTube video the other day that was it was like a 13-hour train ride in I think it was Indonesia, and they had a train that was like Sanrio themed, and they were sitting in the Cinnamoroll car, and like all the meal times were like themed. Like they were put in like little Sanrio boxes. It looked very cute. I put this the AI right hand. This one? You don't like this hand? What's wrong with it? I guess it does need to be washed, but you know, it's like fine. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a regular style hand. All right, this one's a flop. All right. Wowie. Look at all this slime. But if I mix all of them together, do you think that's awesome? I think that's awesome. I don't know how to get a paper towel. Ugh. I love putting my hand in glue. The first 5 minutes of the first episode, she accidentally went to work in slippers and tried to do a little dance to distract people from looking down. And I was crying laughing because that shit 100% happened to me. That's so cute. That's so cute. That has never happened to me. I cannot relate. But one time I went to chem lab. I wasn't wearing the wrong shoes, but I was wearing the wrong pants. Like I was wearing shorts. And you have to wear long pants for chemistry lab. So I had to go to like the school spirit shop and get sweatpants. And I still have them, so I guess, you know, it wasn't a complete waste. Okay. Okay, check this out. We're just gonna mix shit together. And see what happens. Unless anybody wants to buy any of these. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I don't know. I actually kind of like this fluffy one. And maybe it's a little too sticky. Maybe I wouldn't actually use it. Ah, shit. Went to work with two different shoes. That's the worst, I think. How are you getting ready in the morning where like you put two completely different shoes on? Was it like the same type of shoe but they're different colors? Like you're like, I accidentally mixed up my gray Hey Dudes with my white Hey Dudes and I put one of each on. I could see that happening. Same color, different makes? Same color, different makes. Oh, like they look similar? Still, I feel like you had to have been pretty tired to do that. Okay. Here are my creations. Plus Oobleck, honorable mention. I guess I can go in there too. Oh, this one is so weird. Okay. Well, it's like shiny. The sun went down. And so now I guess my ring light is being put to use. Alright, check this out. Wow. Wow. Here's a fluffy slime with the regular slime. They're kind of the same color. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah? That's kind of awesome. Kind of a big freaking mess. I think the fluffy slime took over. Loki, this is exactly the same, even though it's mixed together. I almost put them in alphabetical order, but I thought Pichaco had a T between the O and the CH. That's why Pum Pum Purin is before Pichaco when it should be the other way around. Sigh. Oh, it's okay. I probably wouldn't have noticed either way. Look at this aspiring slime maker. 3 kinds of slime. Yeah, pretty freaking cool. This one is gonna absolutely ruin it, but you know, let's just put it in there for fun. You know, if nothing else, this stream was fun. Hmm. This is a banger, by the way. Okay. Yippee! Put them in a cage and make them fight for survival? Alright. This is their cage. They're fighting. Enemy slime shot, melt clothes. Valid or no? Valid or no? What do you mean valid or no? Like, as a concept, is that valid? I guess so. I guess it depends on what kind of anime it's in. If you're watching an anime that's already really fan servicey and sussy, and then that's in there, it's like, okay, that's fine. This is what I'm here for. But if it's like a regular anime, and then they come out with that like out of nowhere, then it's like, that was kind of weird. I don't think they really needed that. You know? I don't think the detergent will mix with the other slimes. It seems like it's an oil and water situation. What's it speaking realism here? Yeah, I don't have anything against like really fan servicey anime. Like I know, I don't know. I understand why people are like, "Rah," but I don't know. I feel like there's a place for it. But you know, I prefer it to be its own thing rather than like I'm trying to watch a normal anime with my friend and it's like, why is the love interest naked right now? You know? This is so fine, cat. Kate? Sorry, not cat. This? Oh, I guess it is kind of pink and blue. It's starting to mix together. Or do you mean this and this? I know what you're saying. Yogurt! Take a bite. Oh. Take a bite. This white thing. It's not white. I just have a white light on. Here, maybe if I can make it blue or yellow? Blue, yellow, or white? Or none. I kind of like the white. I feel like that makes it look crisp. You're so head empty. The colors. And you said oil and water? Oh. Okay. This looks like brain mush or something to me. Would not eat. Okay, what if I put this in it? Ah, this spoon is filthy. Alright, go in there. Ugh. That stuff is bubbling. Is it alive? Yo, don't worry about it. You guys are asking a lot of questions. Sourdough starter. Yummy. How long does Oobleck last for? Because I feel like this isn't doing the liquid solid thing anymore. I think this is like just solid. I want to make frost blue. Don't we all? I feel like I'm making potions like as a kid in my mom's shower. Surely the laundry detergent will like help melt the cornstarch or something. Forget Oobleck, where's Flubber? Oh, I never watched Flubber. We had a VHS of it, and I always saw it sitting on the shelf, but I was never really interested in watching it. Cooking like a chef. Thank you so much. I am actually a 5-star Michelin. I think it's just chunks. Guys, some stuff isn't meant to be made. What forbidden concoctions? What's even brewing? Listen, I had 4 different slimes, and it's like, well, I'm not really gonna keep them anyway. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not. I don't really need something to just be sitting on my shelf that I'm not gonna play with. So we might as well make the most of it while it's here. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you should try being in Hell's Kitchen. Um, um. Well, listen, I already have the Michelin stars, so like I don't really need to be on there. Surely. Sauce is raw. Very slime. It looks so good until you like pick it up and then there's the chunks. The chunks are so unfortunate. This is a pretty awesome stream, huh? Well, I think I've done about all I can do. Did you like this? Was this awesome? Was this awesome? That pot would have washed it with warm water, but now, oh 07? Yo, it'll still wash with warm water. Surely. And look, there's laundry detergent in it, so it's like already getting clean, you know? It's so functional. Eat it. This has glue in it. Can you become a slime VTuber, please, 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 please? Yo, you don't like Fox Girl? Alright, thank you so much for the bit. That's so sweet of you. The content was out of the box and this is rather awesome. Thank you. I had a great time. I want to do more hand cam stuff because I think they're always so fun. I just never have ideas for it. A shout out to Mick Salsa for giving me the idea for this one. I think making stuff and showing off stuff is so fun. Ah, yes. The mixed salsa riz. I'm already rizzed up. Have you thought about please? You want just like a completely new model? Like no fox whatsoever? Just slime? Man, there's plenty of slime VTubers out there. There's Xe. There's Moopy. There's probably a bunch of others. Can we burn Mick at the stake for spamming? Oh yeah, that can be my next handcam stream. I'll put Mick on a steak. That'd be awesome. It has detergent. I'd rather we don't send fast to A&E. What is A&E? That sounds fun. Wait. Maybe here's a chunk. Hold on. Can be a slime fox girl? Hold on, I'm gonna get in there. I shouldn't have gotten there. The cornstarch. There's still some edible stuff in here. You want it? What's the thing? It's like something dollar Fortnite card. What's it? I don't remember what the number is. Is it 15? Is it 14? Is it 20? $25 Fortnite card. Who want it? Wow, that is absolutely disgusting. I'm sorry you had to see that. 19. Why is it 19 instead of 20? That's so silly. $19 Fortnite card. Who want it? Wow, this is so awesome. I can't really like end stream. I'm a little sticky. Annie is a channel that showcases shows like Duck Dynasty in the first 48. You're telling me I get to go on TV if I eat this right now? Shit. Yes, I'm giving it away. Giving it away. Hydrate, girl. I can't hydrate right now. I can't even get a paper towel because it'll get like the other ones messy. Mm, so detergent and squeak. Wow, thank you so much. That is so awesome. Hold on, maybe I can do this. Use feet to drink from bottle. If I can do it, so you can. First of all, I'm not putting my feet up on the hand cam stream. That's crazy of you. And then second of all, I'm wearing socks, so it would like slip out. Hold on. I'm cooking. I'm cooking. Can like if I can get enough off, then I can get a paper towel. Why is it so bubbly? I don't know. I don't know. And of course I have a towel down and it drips on the part without a towel. I'm sorry to tell you this, you guys. Be multiple times during stream. Can you see them? Listen, I feel like that is different than like putting them all up in your face. A little bit of foot at the bottom of the screen is like whatever, I don't care. But like fully gripping the bottle, I'm not doing that. Not on this channel at least. It's so unfortunate. Sounds like we know who let the dogs out. Mods! Mods. Wow, there's... Okay, whenever I played with the glittery slime just on its own, it was not leaving residue. But now there's glitter everywhere. Oh my god, I forgot I have glitter. Wait, check this out. No more pink glitter. That was so awesome. Because the slime is more watery? So what, the glitter is just like... Jump in ship? Get it together. Get it together, little glitters. Alright. I'm hydrating. Okay. And I guess we're just getting glitter on Monsley. If the glitter never comes out of him, it's your fault. I don't really... Feels like I'm doing CPR on him. Alright. CPR! Yeah. Listen, I'm just worried about him. Alright, you go down there. Oh my god, don't land like that. Okay, it's fine. He's fine. Everything's fine. Anyway, thank you guys. This is a finished product. I hope you love it. I hope you love it. I hope this was worth your time. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna flip back down. Transform. Flip. And then... Oh, I don't even have the eggs over here. This is my old background. Whoopsie. There's my chat. There's my chat. There you go. Alright. Say goodbye to the beautiful little thing that we made. Bye. Howie, that was so awesome. Let me get this out of here. All right, swag. But yeah, I hope you had a great time. I had a great time. I had a great time. Um um yeah, that's all. That's all. Bye. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I'll probably be live again on Monday. Yippee yippee yippee. Yippee yippee yippee. But for now, let's raid goats. I don't get to raid goat very often because they usually are streaming earlier than me. Are you doing a 20 minutes yap out show? No, probably not this time. I'm really good at yapping for intros, but outros is like, I'm all done. I gotta do some dishes and some laundry and wash my hands. It's so unfortunate. I took a shower this morning too, and now I feel yucky. Womp. But yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. Make sure you get enough sleep and enough water and enough protein. What's the raid message? I can't type. I can't type. There's the default ones if you do exclamation point raid. But if you want a special one, whatever you type, we can do. But that is out of my hands. Blah. It smells. It smells crazy in here. It smells like strawberry pudding, like a little bit, but then very strongly of detergent, and then also baking soda. I'm sorry, not baking soda. Cornstarch. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. The hands are all sticky. I wonder why. Yeah, I wonder why. Can somebody do exclamation point raid? Or just type whatever you want, I guess. It's fine. Go Shirley.